Good evening, everybody. This is Uncle T here with Josh, who I will introduce in a second. This is TCH Social Live Austin. This is our final tournament, the culmination of our Trailblazer Poker Series. This is the top 50 tournament, so the top 50 scoring points in our entire Trailblazer Tour, no matter the location or if they went to several locations, came together for a tournament today that's culminating this entire Trailblazer series for the year. We'll start that back up in the fall, another series. As we roll out the first hand, I've got Josh with me tonight, who is our tournament director here at TCH Social. Say something funny.
Hello, guys. Happy to be here. Thanks for tuning in with us, watching this. Been quite the season we've had for our inaugural Trailblazer Poker Tour series. This is the sixth stop we've had since we started this season.
Is that right? Six?
Six of them, yeah. It started in Austin in October, and it went to Spring. Then we went to the Valley. Then we went to Dallas and Houston, and then now back to Austin. And now we have our Leaderboard Freeroll.
So essentially, these 9 players scored in the top 50 points, or the 50 places of points for the total series, and then played the tournament earlier today, and made this final table. So congratulations to all of them for a major accomplishment. Amazingly enough, only one tournament winner in this 9, although several placed very highly. And we'll talk about those individual accomplishments in a little bit after we play this first hand, which is actually over. So hand number 2. Anyway, thank you for joining us, all of those of you that are in the chat. Love to hear from you. Very much want to get some input from you. It's always easier to do our job if you're giving us material. Of course, keep it clean. Keep it non-political.
You're kind of spaced out.
We got Danny in the hot seat for the first down here in this final table. Danny, one of our great dealers here at TCH. Baby Spider folds his ace-9.
Second call, BJK, the 1-2 no limit. Second call, CSM.
9-10 of spades in the hijack for Terry. That's
Love this hand.
looking real pretty.
You see what Terry does with. Looks like he's going to come out for a raise. Looks like he made it 13,000. Our stacks are not tremendously deep, and you can see from the blinds, 3,000, 6,000, 6,000.
What's your stack here?
Yeah, we're going to have some action and a couple of short stacks in seats 4 and 7, Mitch and Lorraine. So they're going to have to pick their spots with such few big blinds. Johnny's got the jacks. Sounds like a song. 10-9 though is the giant slayer. So let's see what Johnny does here.
He's definitely putting chips into the pot. The question is how much.
Johnny hurt my feelings. He's been playing poker for 18 months. And here he is. That just tells you something, though. You concentrate, you study hard. Here you are. And he's going to jam. He's going to make it really, really hard for Terry to call. Elon in seat 9 goes ahead and gives up her fairly worthless hand. Not a hard fold. Same for JP. It's going to come around to Terry. So this is a big shove, to say the least. This will put Terry pretty much all in. Yeah, it will put him all in. Probably early, this is a really good move because it's not something you want to do is take the walk so short into the tournament. So Johnny takes it down. Johnny and Austin. He got 3rd in our Austin main. Like I said, he's been playing for just a year and a half. He's actually from Houston, so he came here to play the main.
Yeah, it's actually a kind of a cool story. He came and he booked a hotel for 2 weand and he bagged his first effort in the main event. Played 1 flight, 1 bullet, and bagged, and he was here for 2 weeks already. He's already getting his hotel booked, so he was here. So he ended up sticking around and playing all
When I
the
say something good
other
jerky, I
events,
get a-
played the
I get
deuce
a promo
7, the
code.
triple draw.
Oh, he's
Later better, yeah,
multifaceted.
yeah.
Not-
And those are just reasonable price points where he could hop in and learn those tournaments
Yeah,
and try to
yeah.
craft his skill a little better.
As
There we
Mitch-
go. Mitch has found his
Yeah.
spot here.
And he's going up against a hand he's dominating, Andrew, with the ace queen.
TKO.
But he's short stacked, so this is going to be probably a snap, if not a overshove to isolate by Andrew. We know what Lottie, our buddy, the New York Net, says about ace queen. He always says, if I have ace queen, you win, and if you have ace queen, you win.
Andrew does stick in a raise. Looks like 50,000.
And this is going to push off a hand like the sixes, which it does.
Oh,
but a
wow.
reshove. Wow. This is ace king versus ace king in similar suits, so covering suits.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we didn't take long, did we? And you know, Andrew's such a good player. I think he's gonna fold this hand. It's gonna be hard for him not to. He's got to figure that there's too many aces, kings. What he's facing: ace, king, jacks, queens. The card removal on his two particular cards is just too high, I think, for him to call. He's doing a little.
Yeah, and I mean, I see him implications here too. You know, Mitch has 13,000. Lorraine has not much more. You know, there's.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely a fold here.
Yeah, just for the lettering up. Yeah. I mean, he's going to cry over this 50K he put in there, but he does give it up. It's a good fold. And he's going to get a little bit of jerky to make himself feel better. So we're going to go, unless these things come out one suit, the spades or the diamonds, then this should be a chop. Of course, the great thing is, Elon, they just got the right combo of that 50K bet in front of them to make this a win regardless. So we can kind of unabashedly root for the short stack here without any shame.
Yeah, unfortunate for Mitch to find a spot here. He came in with only 13,000. You know, it's unfortunate that he finds this spot and somebody else has the same hand as he does. Unfortunate for him, but maybe he can get lucky here.
Well, there's
That's
the queen, which is
couple
going
of spades.
to that's going to make
Yeah,
Andrew feel sick.
and that is going to seal the deal there on the turn. We're going to chop this one up.
Yeah. Ace queen would have won the hand. Andrew's going to need to eat that whole bag of jerky.
It's tough not to be results oriented.
Exciting stuff for the viewers.
So far.
So Mitch avoids the knockout.
And he does get some chips there.
He
wins,
did.
He wins some dead money out of that pot.
Yeah, he did.
A little bit more ammunition for him.
Yeah, I know short stacks. I mean, the 33 for he and Lorraine, and Big Sky's got 53. Really kind of polarized, but again, we're at such low blinds.
Oh, there we go. Mitch has found his spot again. Ace Jack now. Wow, Andrew again with a hand. 2 9s. And there those chips go, all in. Wow, straight to the muck with those 2 8s from
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah, I don't really blame that fold. Those 8s were the hand of the night for the TGIF final table. We saw them over and over and over again. But it didn't go well most of the time.
Oh, and we're off to the races here.
Baby Spider has folded. Just catching up with the graphics there. Wow.
Wow.
Again,
That'll do it for Mitch. Going to be our first casualty.
Yeah,
This
flopped
final
a
table.
set.
He is going to take home $1,600 for his efforts today.
Yeah, so we'll go over this real quick with you since we've got our first elimination. $1,600 went to Mitch in ninth. As Josh said, you can see the payout at the top at $15,000, and that's if we don't invoke the C word, which I always against. But
the right side.
and we'll be rolling this out to you throughout the night so you can see what the payouts are for this final 50 wrap-up tournament for the TCH Trailblazer Series. Again, thank you for all of thanks to all of you that have joined us and in the chat. We'll get to some chat stuff in a minute. Right now we're settling into the table as Terry's got, TM. I know him as Scary Terry. It folds his queen 10 in the under the gun position. Lorraine doesn't see what she needs for her short stack.
She is going to have to find a spot here. She
Pretty quick.
has managed to get herself a ladder already, though. Everybody at this table has laddered up. Everybody's locked up. 1750 now. But I think most people have their eye on that first place spot of 15,000.
Yeah, as much poker as these players have played in these events to get to the top 50 in points, there's a lot of pride being able to say I won the best of the best tournament.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's an all-star game.
Man, this field today, I mean, just this final table alone has some serious crushers. But this field today, everybody who showed up, this was a very, very tough field. And it's very impressive that these 9 were able to navigate their way through the field today.
So Baby Spider makes a move on the button and takes it down for hand number 4, I guess 5. We're moving on to hand 6. And again, we'll be rolling across the bottom the stacks, as you see here. Right now, Baby Spider's up 274. So our youngest, I guess you'd say least experienced or about least experienced player, having only played for, well, I think he didn't say. I ask. They don't always tell me. I always like to see the experience levels of players. It's always so impressive to me when a young player excels quickly. It tells me how much homework they've done. Jack's for Elon in the 9 seed. Seen a lot of mid pairs already. 6s, 8s, 7s, 9s.
Out of the small blinds here, facing an open from the low jack.
Are we drinking yet?
Gonna put in a raise. That's a strong move from the small blinds.
And this is always scary for Jacks. Now these players don't get as scared as recreational players. 6s for TM.
More sober than I was last night.
This would be a third of his stack. To call this bet a little bit more, actually.
Bad day for your game.
A lot of thought going into this decision here. I think once again, I think maybe the ultimate deciding factor there for TM was the ICM implications.
Yeah. He's very smart that way.
The best one's called fun.
As he showed the other night when he got to second.
Yeah. Made a deal, took home over 60,000.
And Alon shoves. This is going to put Andrew all in, obviously. Alon being one of the bigger stacks. And keep in mind, Alon got second in our Austin main.
And also final table the Dallas main.
Yes, that's right. You're absolutely right. third in the Dallas main. I take it back. Not second in the. They were third in the Dallas main.
Right. Tell you what, though, I think we can go ahead and give the trophy for best hat.
Best hat?
Yeah.
You think TM's got that?
TM's got that locked
it's
down
the only
for
original
sure.
hat there.
That's a good looking hat.
I'm awful partial to Lorraine's hat.
Yeah, that does look pretty good too.
Raise. 12,000.
Ace queen for Johnny. Under the gun. Raises to 12. Again, these blinds are 3-6-6. So this is a min raise.
The old min click.
Scariest thing in poker. Well, we've seen ace queen versus ace jack a couple of times, but ace jack gives it up. Andrew does as well. Oh, well, we had ace king versus ace queen with them being in the same suits. Why not ace king versus ace king? Now we got ace queen versus ace queen, and Terry's going to shove all in. Actually, this is a good move. Johnny's got to think about this. Looks like you made the call.
Red card. Let's see red cards.
Yeah, somebody's calling for red cards. But ace queen is there, just like it showed up on
Queen.
the board that Andrew folded. So we're going to chop that one.
Teen over here scouting our shit stack.
Yeah. I think he took one quick look before he did. Making sure he was drawing dead on the 7 box right time.
Well, Jack is rooting for Andrew. That's easy to understand. Great player. And yeah, we actually have looks like 4 Austin players. Is biggest guy goes all in with ace 9 offsuit.
It's like nothing for nobody so far.
Yeah, been getting a lot of quick folds. Even though it's just for 50K.
Andrew folded a suited ace.
Gave it up. So Big Sky picks down 15K, which is always nice.
There's got to be a tournament like that. Like in golf, you get one mulligan.
Terribly short at 65.
Well, they
But
kind of had one yesterday.
yeah, they,
It was a BOGO,
you know,
right?
with 10 big
The
blinds
BOGO?
in the current level and coming up on the second level. Lorraine, Big Sky, TM,
You had to use
and we are all going to have to think about this seriously.
One where you can go.
15 big blinds for Andrew.
Oh, if someone calls, you just pull it back.
Exactly.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah, if you go all in, it goes like
So this
shove,
final
shove,
table
shove,
is
shove,
a
shove,
little
one
short of chips. The way they were structured in the shorter tournament today with just 50 players, a few that couldn't show for travel reasons. This is not a very deep tournament. That's why it's a little unusual looking. Blind levels and stack levels. Maybe Spider's got the snowman. We see it showing up again.
Nah. I love Rory. His name.
Another ace jack.
He ended up like 40th or something.
Johnny is fine with ace queen. He's not okay with ace jack. So Baby Spider adds to his already good chip stack. Sorry, folks. I thought he was in first, but he's actually behind Alon. 289.
Just barely.
Just barely.
Lorraine is going to have to make something happen here soon. There's
Got a
18,000.
TM fan here. I'm a TM fan too, Nate. I love me some Scary Terry. Although it's hard for me not to root for C2 just because of that beautiful shirt. We're getting a little bit of a lag, so we'll roll these hands up as soon as they pop up.
Guys all in.
And Lorraine found it. Ace Jack of clubs.
Yep, that's a definite yes. That hand won me some money tonight.
Quick call from JP out of the big blind, just a little bit more. Makes the call with the King 10 offsuits. 60-40 here about. And that's a safe run out for Ace Jack.
Is there anything more beautiful when you're short stacked and you're all in to see a clean board?
Yeah, it's got to be a good feeling for Lorraine here. She's now got 45,000 in her stack. Still short, but much better than she was.
No. So this has been a long journey.
It really has. I
Trailblazer.
actually started here right before, probably a week before the first Trailblazer
That was
stop.
your first week?
Yeah.
Wow.
I came in, they said, hey, here's this tournament series. We've already got it planned. Everything's ready for you. All you got to do is come in here and run everything. I'm like, oh, easy enough. Let's do it. So I came in. I had about a week of preparation time, and we jumped right into it. And
wow.
we've had, there were obviously some hiccups in the road, as there are for all new things, especially in this industry. It's just hard to predict, you know?
Yeah.
Especially poker players. They are very difficult.
Well, I'm going to brag. After this hand, I'm going to brag on you a little bit as a player.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, this has been a very long time coming. I've been working on this specific series for quite some time. And,
Andrew.
it's probably the most satisfying part of my job is to see something come to fruition all the way to the end.
Yeah. You've got to feel like you run a marathon. Just going to point out that Andrew folded Jack 10 of clubs, which is a really, really hard fold for me. Must not have liked his position very much, which makes sense under the gun.
Ace 8.
Yeah, Alon with the suited ace.
Dead man's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a call from Skylar out of the big blind with King 7 of
Very
diamonds.
similar hand. And hits his king.
Wow, what a flop.
But the hearts are there, are they not?
As we can see at the top up there, the
Yeah.
King, Queen, 9, and Deuce have been expired. Those cannot come. The line doesn't know that, though.
No.
We got a bet of 10, and it looks like a min raise to 20,000 here.
20,000.
I think all the chips have to get in.
Yeah, I think so. I frankly, I question not shoving there with only 21,000 behind. I mean, maybe you're wanting to make this look like a little bit of a value bet with a really strong flop. But with that kicker, Milan makes the call. So having one of the big stacks made that call a little bit easier.
This is virtually still a coin flip here.
Yeah. 10 affects nothing.
Not as much anymore.
No. And that's the classic equity shift you see from almost 50-50 as Big Sky goes all in. Still believing
call.
that heart's coming. Alon does call. and a total blank.
Safe run out.
Yep.
Wow, that was a big hand for Sky.
Yeah, I mean that's a total flip
100%.
from the chip levels that Sky had, Big Sky had, to the stack they have now is just that's a little bit of a tournament saver.
100%. Full double when you're short is massive.
Yeah, moves him up into a place where he can think differently about his poker now. Still, these it's basically 20 blinds, big blinds. Now we've gone up to 8, so a little bit less than that. Still, that's a lot better than looking at your stack and seeing 4 or 5 big blinds.
No doubt.
Like the lane is facing. Makes it a little easier to think about laddering up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to brag about you. I think
Okay.
you just crushed it lately. Not just lately, but the adjustments you've made to our weekly tournaments and to the other tournaments here, I think it's just everybody's been talking about how we just don't have overlays anymore, really. I mean, we had some in this tournament, but they weren't significant. Congratulations on really.
Thank you.
I'm much happier with the tournaments, which is, of course, I know really high on your list. And let's see, we've got a Crazy Pineapple tournament tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Or actually Tuesday night.
Switching it up.
I will be there.
Hey guys, mark your calendars for tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's going to be similar to our normal Monday night tournament, except still Trailblazer edition. So it's a $30 buy-in, $10,000 guaranteed prize pool, $20 rebuys and add-ons. That structure sheet can be found on our Poker Atlas page. Going to start at 7 o'clock, just a $30 buy-in, $10,000 guaranteed prize pool. Not going to want to miss out on that one, guys. Looks like we're checking around here. Baby Spider may be thinking of making a move here.
You know, small blind versus big blind. Why wouldn't big blind use their position?
100%.
And that's going to induce a fold.
Blind versus blind is one of the most difficult ways to play.
Yeah, because obviously immediately the ranges are everything.
For sure.
So you're looking at a board like that and saying, well, they could have an ace, or probably not. They didn't raise pre-flop. But they hit an 8 or a 7 and you're sitting with 2 junk cards. Your first one to act a lot of times is going to win the hand.
Yep.
That's just poker 101. Something to think about in your blinds. Of course, at our 1-2 tables, it doesn't happen very often where it's blind versus blind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just not a common occurrence. We saw it quite a few times in the tournament the other night at TGIF.
Man, what a turnout we had for that one.
I saw 343 and I was like, oh, that's got to be a glitch. I was looking online and I'm thinking, holy crud.
Yeah. It was a busy night.
That's an example of what I was talking about, though. That TGIF tournament was already popular.
Mm-hmm.
So you then roll it into the Trailblazer series and people just jumped on it.
Yeah.
It was a deep, very experienced field.
It was the place to be in Austin.
It was. It was a Friday night to remember. Ended very, very late or very early.
65,000 in that prize pool.
Yeah. Guarantee was 50, right?
40.
40.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Jeez.
All in.
Wow.
Baby Spider gets frisky.
He's Jack in the muck.
Andrew's
Rightfully
hating
so.
life right now. He's got to be thinking, geez, I get good cards and I'm having to fold them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a young man's hand, and the 9s give it up. Great
Wow.
move by Baby Spider. Just simply taking advantage of the fact that the Small blind was last to act there, essentially. I mean, Andrew was big blind. And knowing that people don't want to bust out of the tournament and having the chips to back it up is as he goes up 338, 100K clear of the rest of the field. Great move. I like it.
Joseph S. 1, 2, no limit. Table is ready for you. Joshua J.
Well, folks, once again, this is Uncle T with Josh, our tournament director here at TCH Social Austin, with the wrap-up tournament for our Trailblazer Poker Tour. Glad you could join us tonight. Please chat with us. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, let's who's your favorite in this field? Who do y'all have taking this thing down? Let us know.
Yeah, we had a Terry vote and a Josh vote. Who are you rooting for? Baby Spider might have just won some fans.
Jack
over.
rooting for Andrew.
The nines again. Boy, we're just seeing a tons of sevens, eights,
Wow.
and nines.
He just had those.
Yeah. Back-to-back hands. Makes the same raise. Just a min click.
Heads up. Got like 110.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Well,
Spicy flop.
it's very spicy. Rainbow, Jack 10-8. The nines are in play, and top pair with a good kicker for JP. Such a wet flop. You may think, I don't want to see anything other than, yep, he makes a reasonable bet. It's like 15K. Pretty much after taking a little time, Johnny's either going to make a move or he's just going to float this.
Yeah, I think this is a flat here from Johnny. I think it almost has to be. Effectively, they have about the same amount of chips here.
Yeah.
I think a call is fine. See a turn, reevaluate. Wow.
This is going to make JP, in all likelihood, put a bigger bet in with the clubs coming.
Yeah, nothing changes here except for that club.
Yeah, which you're not putting your opponent on any kind of flush draw, but you just want to avoid a moist board getting wetter.
I think JP is probably he's not the newest to poker at the table. We talked about earlier, Johnny has only been playing poker for about 18 months. But I remember when JP started playing poker, actually. It was about 2020, 2021, somewhere around there.
He said he'd been playing for 3 years.
Right after COVID, I think, is about when he started playing. And he came to a room I was working at in Houston and ended up doing this for a living now. So
Oh, he's professional.
yeah,
Nice. Wow, 3 years and a change of profession.
that's how bad we play in Texas, guys.
we are on an accelerated schedule the way that Texas poker is played, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just the 3 short years he's been playing. He's already amassed over $300,000 in live tournament earnings, according to the Hendon Mob. I know he's hoisted several trophies, tournaments that I've been able to run. And Johnny, he is making a name for himself as well. Really like the sizing here from JP. 38,000. So really good sizing here, I think. I think it taxes them enough so they can't just see the river for free, but
Teos, you sound like a cash game player. Clock. Well, we've got a couple of more votes in.
Way to take a
Good,
15.
good fold, understandable fold.
CB, Medpod, Rowan
We got a
A,
baby spider fan.
TP,
I don't know who that guy is. Probably
Tom
some, I
K,
figure some inbred relative or something,
TBPT,
possibly.
Dustin, make your way to table 15 behind the bar for
Anyway,
your
hey, Dustin.
125 kilo tables.
Bob, we love TCH Poker too. We love Texas Poker. We love TCH Poker. We love TCH Social Austin Poker.
You know, that's the beautiful part of it. TCH Poker is Texas Poker. It really is.
Brother, you need to copyright that stuff. TCH is Texas Poker. TCH Social is Texas Poker. Sounds like a commercial. Was it?
Hashtag
was.
ad.
Help get us to 150 likes. Yeah, y'all hit the like button if you would, please. I see we got quite a few people in the chat. Glad to see you here on a Sunday night. Beautiful, warm Austin.
As we've got a hand brewing here.
We do.
Somebody's going broke, I think.
Yeah, this time Andrew's got the ace king. I think this is fair. Yeah, easy shove for him with 70K. Not so much of an easy call for Big Sky. Let's see if anybody else has gotten anything that's worthy of a call or a reshove. Doesn't look like.
And we do get it all in here.
Yep. So Andrew at risk, trying to avoid the queen or some red cards. And he does get his red cards, but that's going to close it out.
Nice.
Another clean board.
How much?
Although those cards are way too red for his comfort level.
That is going to put Sky at the bottom of our chip list now. He's going to be left with just over 30,000 chips. Oh, excuse me. Sky is not at the bottom of our chip list. Yeah.
Well, Lorraine, yeah, she's kind of surfing a low
Yeah.
wave at this point. Big Sky's pretty much in the same position as her, just having 3 big blinds. Lorraine with a little bit less.
At least it felt like a long thing.
Such a
Lorraine
hard
is
gap.
in the small blind here, too.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Sky's got the big blind coming around quick.
Second call for the brand new 125 kilo table at table 15. For
Yep, I think we're going to see some shoves here in the next couple of hands.
Rowan A,
In small stacks.
The blinds are wrong.
Nom K,
Oh, that's my bad. That's not...
and Helen, make your way to table 15 for the 125 kilo.
Brian's down.
Hello.
Hello, Terry. How's Mama? He says,
Terry,
I got-
accompanied by the pretty ladies.
Yeah, he says, I got 2 mamas.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a tough laydown by a really short stack. She's very
good
patient.
news for Lorraine is she does get the button next, so she's going to have a full orbit.
Yeah, I'm sure
Try
that's
to
what
find a
she's
better
thinking.
spot.
Yeah. A bit of a giant killer for Johnny. You like this hand?
I do. Suited connectors are. I mean, he might be. Is it 12,000 more for him to make a call here? He makes the call. He's left with under 70,000 chips. I think ICM says fold.
I've never met this ICM guy.
Me either. I just read it somewhere.
I have one of my favorite quotes by a manager. Forget his name now. He was the Cubs manager way back in the day. He's the one that got thrown on the ground by Pedro Martinez. Somebody said, well, the book says there you should hit and run. He goes, show me the book. Where's the book? Somebody, who's got the book? It's the same thought
wow.
process. He does make the call.
Gonna need to see a pretty specific flop here.
Well,
That'll work.
Pretty. I mean, what part of that didn't he hit? Even the club on the ace. Well,
I think Johnny's probably thinking he just hit a jackpot here.
I would. And Terry, I mean, the ace is going to make it probably an easier fold when Johnny does what he's about to do.
No, TM's going to move all in.
Terry,
Wow.
wow.
An
Terry
ace,
at risk.
an ace or a queen is the only thing going to save TM here. Any ace, any queen.
Yeah, he needs to have it. A queen's up. Oh,
Well,
that ain't it.
queen. And that is going to do it for
Wow.
TM.
TM.
Not how I thought this hand was going to go.
No, not even a little. All right, folks.
Or two.
We have had another elimination.
Put it on the jerky.
So Terry goes out. We've lost two now,
Snack,
earning
snack on
1750.
that.
7 players remaining in our 50K Invitational Leaderboard free roll. That was kind of a cooler, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it really was not how I was expecting. I really expected, you know, like I said, I thought Johnny would have folded that pre-flop, but
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I think the ICM book
When I
was
did
wrong.
that, I was like,
No, I really don't know. I've never read the book. I just
we did not have what I thought it got, but it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, I've been searching libraries all over the world for it. I can't find it.
That was the play.
That was very champion-like. I agree.
So that helps quite a bit with Johnny Stack, where he was not too far over Terry in that hand in chip stack. I think by about 20, 40K.
Chop.
Yes.
Evens it out a little bit. He and Andrew are in the middle ground. Baby Spider's still up front, and Lorraine is still surfing that really shallow wave.
We can all go play cash, and that'll be fun. I was just saying.
It's actually more.
More than 55? Oh, yeah, they haven't
I
added.
gotta drive
Ooh, it might be closer to 6K.
Looks like we got Jared in now in the dealing spot.
Let's have the
So
results.
shout out to Jared.
Think about the long game. We help each other.
Yeah. Probably go play this mixed game if we sit open.
15 in the
And if JP will
lead.
play.
Yeah. And whatever game I pick.
Used to 7 single draw guys.
It's the best game. No, I didn't.
12 notes, you're the man. Don Zimmer.
I was thinking about it. I was very close.
Don Zimmer, the former New York Yankees coach and Calgary Cubs, says Big Sky goes all in with his jacks. So Big Sky, short stacked, is getting the count. 36K behind according to our counter. Lorraine with ace 8. Folds her ace 8 of spades. Wow. She has made some tough folds.
Not positive you're supposed to say that.
But she's also looking at a player that could be eliminated, which is a big motivator when you're going to ladder up.
Good job.
Looks like it's not going to happen, though. Big Sky shoves his jacks and picks up 20K.
Big Sky is no stranger to this game. Been around for a while.
Oh, no matter what he has in there.
He's from Corpus Christi, which is actually where I cut my teeth in this poker
Really?
industry. Started in Corpus, ran a room down there. Probably known Skylar longer than anybody else at this final table right now. According to his Hendon mob, he's amassed over 1.7 million in tournament earnings. No stranger to the game of poker for this man. Yeah, best live cash. Almost 200.
Seven is
Again?
all in for 25K. Seat 8 folds. Seat 9 folds.
It's on me. I looked at one.
Seat 1 calls.
All in and a call.
Yeah, Parks?
H3 offsuit or JP, Lorraine with the suited king.
Just one right here.
Wow.
Well, we've seen that
Call this again.
on the 9-8 hand and now the
Jenga.
King 8 hand. Jenga is exactly right. Where's one of my favorite movies? One of the characters said, I say bingo.
It's not working very well. Time for a new strategy.
JP says it's time for a new strategy.
Okay, so, Derek, I'm just going to tell you that comment was, I almost spit out a tater tot. We've had people make fun in the cash games of that artwork behind, but I've never heard it called a sonogram. That's freaking hilarious.
I'm sorry, I forgot to relay that to Danny.
I don't think we get the full portrayal. I think maybe if we could see the whole painting, it would look better.
Would it?
I don't know.
Now, I'm not an art critic, but anytime it looks like the artist took about 25 minutes to make it, yeah, I'm going to say no. And queen for Johnny.
Seat 8 raises to 18,000.
18,000 is the number. Just over a min click. Pseudo connectors in the muck from Alon. Wow.
Well, how many times are we going to see this? Like hands facing each other, and in this case, this might get a shove.
See, the tricky part here for JP is the middle here. He has Sky, who's got a shorter stack behind him in the big blind.
Yeah. Yeah, that I say all the time that position that I hate to be in is being that middle position with two players that either have some motivation like being short stacked or they're particularly aggro players, and you've got a good hand. You got to think in 3 dimensions all of a sudden instead of just 2, ahead and behind. You got to think about ahead and behind and desperate or aggro.
Wow.
I actually, that's why I said that. I like this play a lot. He's got position. He didn't have position on Big Sky, but he does have position on Johnny and gets it through. So makes a little extra money. I like that. I like that play a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that a call is in JP's vocabulary there. I think it's you just move on to the next one or you rip it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Here we go. We got a Lorraine fan in the chat.
So just about everybody's gotten a vote. I think we've got a horse race. Once again, we're 7-handed now. And as we talked about in the TGIF, with each player lost, the dynamics of your ranges and positions and everything just changes so much. We'll see that in the next few eliminations. JP makes a min raise with his A7 suited. Baby Spider has been aggressive with the earlier positions.
Definitely passive aggressive. He has the chips. He has been putting them to use when he sees an opportunity to.
And being in this position now, which you obviously in the big blind are not going to be in this position after the flop, he's going to make a raise. I think rightfully so.
I think I heard the dealer say 53,000.
Yeah.
I think that's the right sizing to take this one down without seeing a flop. I predict that's what happens here. Wow.
The aggression is flipped. And I think Baby Spider got his hand in the cookie jar in his own mind a little
What
bit.
a move.
That's the move of the night so far. That's for sure. Either he just had a really good read on what he thought, and probably this has got a ton of history behind it. They obviously been playing a long time today.
Yeah, I mean, they've playing together all day.
Yeah, so
Been playing for 8.5 hours now.
had a profile in his head, decided it's best to go for this. Made a great shove.
JP Park taking it down. Nice hand, buddy.
Very nice.
Ducks in the muck from Lorraine.
Ducks in the muck.
Ducks in the muck. Wow. Here's another open. Cut off. Jack 10 of suit. Looks like he's going to take this one down, likely.
Well, JP, it seems to be asserting himself a little bit here.
Yes.
He's a strong player. Probably has got a bit of a table image with these players already. Obviously, been playing a while himself.
Very sharp individual. Those flowers are very red.
You know, they're Christmas flowers, and I've been saying, when is somebody going to put these in the back?
Where?
I don't get it.
Really?
Let's me and you do that after the stream. You want to do that?
Consider it done.
Yeah, we'll throw them at Joe.
What color flowers would y'all in the chat like to see in the background here? What should we get next?
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
What is the color of poker?
All right, let's chop this up. Oh, they are.
In my experience, red like blood.
Red like blood. So those are the right flowers.
I guess.
Being poinsettias, they're just wrong time. So what is the color of poker? You know,
that is a good question.
You know, I always think of football, it's brown, you know,
Right.
because you play it in the
Yeah.
dirt. Baseball is white.
Degree all in moments.
Big Sky shipping it with ace deuce.
$36K.
Andrews asked for accounts. Don't see his card
Yeah.
just yet.
Exactly. He does make the call. So we got an elimination going on here, potentially.
Actually, reshoves
Well,
here.
Yeah, he did. He did. He's clearing the field again. Isolating with the ace-king, just crushing. And there's already another ace out. So basically, Big Sky, he's just drawn to the two. The king basically makes
luck,
him
Earl.
draw real. Now he's
Dead.
dead. Oh, good job, Big Sky. Skyler?
Nice showing here.
Yeah. Yeah, getting down to the 7th place, $2,000 payout.
Not bad for a stone cold free roll, huh?
It's not bad.
12 of the initial 50 were in the money today. We did pay out 10th, 11th, and 12th before we got to this final table. Everybody still got their eyes on that first place prize of $15,000. Okay, here we go. We got some answers about our the color of poker.
Green. Yeah, I get that money.
Yeah,
I
that
get
makes
that.
sense, actually.
Yeah, that's actually. Yeah,
I don't ever have
Red,
any money
black.
after I play poker, so that's why I didn't register.
I'm kind of the same way. I like it. I'd say white chips are more my chip. Usually
Red and
throw-
black is actually a very logical point too. The suits.
Yeah. See, y'all are just so much smarter than I am.
Yeah.
I was like having a complete blank on the color of poker.
37.
Green. That's another choice. I like green. I like red. I like black. And of course, Ivy is green, so you could. That's a stretch, isn't it? That was a
maybe
way
a bit.
stretch. Yeah. I give myself an F on that one.
Maybe we get a money tree.
Money tree.
All in and at risk is Lorraine with 2 6s. Needs to fade a queen or a 7.
Oh, river monster.
And that is going to do it for Lorraine here. What a showing.
Great job of laddering up there and
Absolutely.
being maximum value out of the shortest stack. Lottie is always the master of that. I may give Lorraine the nod now. So once again, we're going to show our payout. Lorraine goes out, earning 2,500 in 6th place after being the shortest stack at the table by far.
Yeah.
Kudos to her for laddering
Very
up
nicely done.
Very nice little icing.
Picking spots well.
Payout, yeah.
Just couldn't get the best hand to hold up there.
No, and she folded some really good hands. Picking her spots. And frankly, she almost won. I mean,
Yeah.
she got rivered by a 3-outer, 2-outer, maybe. I was trying to think of the cards that went before that.
Yeah, I think there was six outs. Any queen, any 7 she loses.
Yeah, true. The 7 was an overcard as well. That's right.
This is the biggest hit.
And then there were 5.
Yeah, and this is where we'll really start to see the way that people change their ranges. Seeing these tournaments and doing a few of the live streams, which has made me pay so much more attention than just watching the live stream. Start seeing the ranges start to change with the positions.
And you know, it's kind of almost like the tournament resets here because everybody's very even in chips now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's kind of like
Very good point.
Oh.
As
All in is Johnny with the ace jack of no suit.
kind of a tough one for Andrew to fold. I think he'll make the fold. Yeah, he does. He didn't have to think about it as long as I did.
Would have been in pretty bad shape. As Lorraine went out as our last. She has been playing for quite some time now. She's got in the 6 figures on the Hendon Mom. Hails from Austin, Texas.
Oh, sorry.
One of the nicest people I've met.
Yeah,
since I've been
she's
here in
great
Austin.
at the table. She's so friendly and easy to get to know.
I guess you was like we're
Yeah.
Just great,
Absolutely.
great poker player, great person.
Great Hendon Mob profile picture too, Lorraine.
Yeah,
Very good.
that's a good picture. You know, our viewers can't see that, unfortunately.
No, they can't. But if you did,
Yeah, you would agree with that.
Can they not just move them over to seat 7 and system? Give them more space? Yeah. Can you ask them? They want to know who you move over to seat 7.
Well, folks, we've been streaming now for about an hour, a little short of an hour. We appreciate you joining us. This is Uncle T and with Josh, our tournament director here at TCH Social Austin. This is the culminating event in the Trailblazer Poker Tour.
Johnny's flying American Airlines today.
Why do you say that?
He's got the Rockets, Aces, American Airlines.
Oh, see, I don't need. I could say something here about how much I hate that particular airline, so I like stuck in my head. Why is he? Where's he going?
Why would anybody do such a thing?
Why would anybody fly American Airlines?
Wow, this is going to get dangerous.
Yes,
I think
it is.
I think we lose somebody here.
Yeah.
How's Andrew going to get away from this?
Tell you what. Another diamond would be
Oh,
even
and he
spicier.
checks.
He checked. What?
Check. We see a turn card. What is our turn card?
A diamond.
My goodness.
Yeah, as I was saying, a diamond would be a really spicy card here. The backdoor possibilities for Andrew. Maybe Johnny's just a little afraid of those jacks. Putting it in Andrew's range.
Yeah, we can see here that Andrew's more than a 3-to-1 dog in this fight, but he probably doesn't see it that way.
Looks like we're getting a 25K raise from Johnny coming through. I think this is a little too much for Andrew not to at least float.
Yeah, he's not folding here, I don't think.
And he does call.
Oh,
Boy.
changes nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a counterfeited 10. It doesn't change anything, but
But at the same note, it doesn't change anything. So, I mean, Andrew might think his queen's good here.
yeah, I think a lot of times he does. It does bring in the ace-king, although it's hard to imagine your opponent has ace-king here. It is one more thing that beats you. It'll be all based on the sizing of Johnny's bet.
I think it's going to be like 62,000.
Really? That's very specific. Looks like he's measuring out 50 more. And if you hit this on that, I'm leaving the room. Oh no! Don't pull 2K out. What the heck?
How much was it? Was
I
that
think it's
62?
62 or 67.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I promise. I've been sitting in here the whole time, guys.
Yeah, folks, I've
didn't
got
cheat.
him on a chain. He's not gone anywhere. What the heck?
That's just how much I would have bet. That's why I said
we're going to dive down into that and do some post-mort on that thought process in a sec. So a 60% pot bet, look, a few hairs of a percentage under that.
it's just the right sizing to get a call here.
Yeah, but you didn't say 60 or 65. You said 62. Gosh. I guess that's why you're the tournament director. Seen a little bit of poker, I guess. I don't know. Give Christmas. Understandably, Andrew's taking his time here.
It'd be amazing if he can find a fold here, but I don't know that he can. And there's
He
the
does
call.
make the call.
Gets the bad news.
Yeah. That's going to take Andrew down to 69K. I certainly understand the call. And it's going to take Johnny way up the ladder. Wow. So Johnny's now at 288, really close to JP. Baby Spider's got 273, 255. Andrew's the only short stack now, which he was a couple of times in the TGIF. 62K? Seriously?
I just, you know, when I say these things, I think, what would I do if I was in this situation? And 62 is just the perfect bet right there.
I want to see some genetic testing on you and Johnny. That's creepy.
Where's the blind?
Call of the night. I'm going to give you the call of the night.
Well, thank you, sir. My first time in the booth, and I get the call of the night.
I was like, I can't wait to tell Sam and Lottie and Kyle that. It's like, okay. Looks like Baby Spider's going to come in. It's now blinds up to 5, 10, 10, which we did
Just
not
a limp
announce.
from the button here.
Yeah.
Like,
Unusual,
yeah.
especially as aggro as he's been.
Yeah, for sure.
I won't say aggro is too strong a word. As assertive as he's been.
7 checks.
You will see a flop here. Very likely would have just.
Overboard, right? And then you gotta come over here.
Likely would have just won the pot here if Baby Spider would have put in a raise.
Wow, open ender for Johnny.
7 checks.
Gut shot for Baby Spider that Johnny blocks. No backdoor for anybody. Any predictions on a bet sizing here?
Well, it's already happened. He bet 12,000.
I mean, I was giving you an opportunity to be smarmy. They're saying, oh, I'm going to guess 12,000.
I think he's going to raise.
I'm going to say 44.
I might have had some telegraphing here.
40, 46, 45.
36, I think I heard Jared say.
I didn't even come close. I can't even call the right number with the chips in front of me.
Thank you.
Parody.
Thank you, Parody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Just move on, Parody. Move on. I gotta live
See,
with this.
he
now.
said it. It's 62 or nothing, obviously.
Obviously, clearly,
2 right answers there.
and that bet does take it down. Johnny betting his open ender.
Man, what a final 5 we have here.
Yeah. This may be a. It's not going to be like fencing where they run at each other and it's immediately over.
Yeah.
It's going to be more like those ping pong
Yeah.
games that go on and you're like, what the hell?
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Almost 9 hours these guys have been playing today. We started at noon.
Yeah, and for a fairly small field.
Yeah.
So it tells you something about the high level of poker it was. It was not the daily bankroller. What is it called? Bankroll builder?
Bankroll Builder.
Too much alliteration for me.
Every day at noon here at TCH Social Austin. Hashtag ad. Do have an all-in from Andrew. The Queen Jack offsuit. Johnny to act.
Yeah, and I mean, Andrew doesn't know, obviously, but he couldn't have a better situation dominating like this.
There it is. The beautiful trophy perfectly placed to cover up our owie.
Kirk.
Tried to chase you.
I outed
They did
Kirk
their
on that
best.
one.
Too close.
So is that the big one?
That is the big one.
That's the big one. That's
Yeah.
the biggest of the trophies.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah,
I think it's twice as big as the other trophies.
Wow.
Real crystal.
Real?
Quite the trophy.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. I'd seen them on the table. I'm always like having to wipe my fingerprints off of them just looking at them, and they're very heavy.
Yes.
Very stout. I mean, in some parts of the world that would be a weapon. Spady Spider has the 6s.
And if we ask our live stream table, it was a weapon.
It was a weapon. It left a scar, which Kristen did a great job of fixing as best as her. What did they call that? Very fine.
Threading?
Yeah, but you know where they use the piece of fabric and you're taking the tiny embroidery. She used
Embroidery, yeah, there we go.
thread. Nobody does that anymore. It's almost
Wow. Maybe Spider opens it up with a min click. Johnny looks like he's going to be putting in a 3-bet. 53,000?
No, a little bit more.
53,000 C7.
53 it is.
No, it's a little bit more. Starting to creep me out, bro.
Yeah, 53,000 C7, C3 now folds.
And he gets pretty much of a snap fold. Johnny's starting to assert himself a little bit.
Absolutely. Finding the streak.
Yeah, and it seems like that was a small bet because he's got a big stack. He's up to 355 now, leading by quite a bit. But again, these effective stack sizes are pretty small for a tournament. So almost every raise, even at these smaller 5, 10, 10 blinds, is a huge chunk of a stack.
Yeah,
Then you make a raise, like that one, the 53, the freaking 62, and it's just a serious chunk out of anybody's stack.
Absolutely. Especially at a stage like this where every big blind matters.
Yeah. And we're only on hand 31, down to 5.
You know, we can actually do some fun math here, and we can actually determine what the value of each 1K chip is if we were to put it into cash value.
Based on the total chips on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. You can't do that in your head, Mr. 62?
No. No way, Jose.
I can't do it. I'm a product of the East Texas school system. I can count toes and fingers. Sometimes teeth. Ace King has just crushed this board. King for Baby Spider, who calls the 15K bet.
What are we down to? 5 here?
Yes. Elon's got a lock on this hand already at the turn. He's going to make a bet. Looks like about 50, 55. Little over half of the pot. Baby Spider's going to make the call. Well, he's sizing it up to make the call. Whether he does it or not, he does do it. And Elon at this point is just thinking, please let Baby Spider have an ace. That card affects nothing. There's nothing that could really redraw. Baby Spider didn't want to hit a 2 there. I think this is going to be a shove by Elon at this point, and that's what the action is for the last 131, which is what, according to our chip tracker here, is exactly what Baby Spider has in front of him. So Elon only having a few back. Oh, I'm sorry. That's because Baby Spider's a short stack. I thought Baby Spider was ahead of Elon. Yeah, this is almost impossible to call and going to put a major dent in Baby Spider's stack.
Yeah, I think definitely just have to let this go and reevaluate on the next hand here.
So now showing 131.
Now Lon covers Baby Spider.
That's what threw me off. I thought the numbers were off there.
Lon covers by 9,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it said 161. It's actually 131.
Makes the correct laydown.
Tough, but good fold. And that's
so you were saying how much, those small hands and these, that's $32 is what one of those yellow chips is, worth in dollar amounts, effectively. So for every 1,000.
To the payout?
No, just total. I mean,
to the total
chip equity, right?
Okay.
If they were to divide the amount of money by the amount of chips they have right now, not an ICM chop, a chip chop, a true chip chop, each 1K chip is worth approximately $32.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I have no way of verifying whether that's truth or BS, but I'm going to take your word for it. I mean,
yeah, you take the total amount of money that's remaining and you divide it by the total amount of chips in play, and that's what 1 unit is worth. And then multiply it by your smallest denomination, which here was 1,000.
Spoken like a tournament director. I mean, that is something I never think about as a player.
Most people don't, yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm thinking more in terms of, obviously the payouts and laddering up, or, where do I stand as an average stack in this stage of the tournament or whatever. And also, generally, what position am I in from stage to stage?
Yeah.
How am I doing? How much do I need going into a day 2
right,
to be able to do anything? Now, of course, one of the things that came out in this tournament that I thought was, or the big tournament, the main, is that the smallest flight blind levels became the blind levels for day 2.
Yep.
So we had players that had like 1.7, I don't know.
The chip leader who bagged had almost 750 big blinds.
Right.
And it was the deepest structure I've ever ran personally. It's very unfortunate for me to have to come back all the way there, but very fortunate for the players.
Oh, yeah, because nobody was really short stacked.
Yeah, well, and you just don't. When do you get a chance to play that deep, really? You really don't, unless you buy into a 1-2 game.
Yep.
You
yeah,
don't
when
really
somebody
get a chance
told
to play
me
that deep in tournaments.
Going into day 2, I was like, if I read that in the TDA rulebook, I wouldn't have remembered it because
Right.
it's just kind of one of those things where the size of the Saturday flight that ended up being the biggest flight and whatever that smaller flight was during the week was so great that it just.
Yeah.
But it's according to the rules. You're going to go to the smallest or the smallest flights blind levels.
And some people don't do it that way. Some people
Really?
finish at a, and it depends on the tournament too, you know, where if it's a tournament that, you know, a 5K buy-in or 10K buy-in, you know,
Right.
where not everybody's going to be in the money on day 2. Sometimes you have to do it a little differently, but
Right.
I don't believe that you should ever make anybody have to skip playing levels in a tournament. You know, so that's why I always come back to the earliest level finish, because even if there's only 5 people who bag in that flight, I don't feel like they should have to skip playing all the levels that everybody else gets.
As we get a backdoor by Johnny come through.
Ooh.
I mean, Elan was marginally ahead. I mean, in the perception of what the hands could be, and he actually checks the jack of diamonds. A very unusual hand, not for
maybe trying to induce a bluff.
Yeah, I think so. I play with Elan a lot. Great respect for the player. So patient.
Very.
Something I'm not. There are players like Elan that I'm like, oh, why can't I have that patience? Never gets tilted. Never gets out of line, really, from a standpoint of behavior. Or just great person to play with.
And Alon's biggest score was just over $100,000. And that was 3rd place at our Dallas main event, the $800 main event.
Wow.
As we get an all-in here.
Baby Spider
Baby
shoves
Spider.
with Queen 7 of clubs. Interesting. In the cutoff with no action. Just going to take it down. Good move. Trying to get a little more traction under his feet. A few more chips to work with. I actually like that move a lot in the cutoff because you're just, even when you're with the hand, you're kind of representing a really strong, you know, like 9s, 10s, or jacks, somebody that does not want to call. And you really basically only got to dodge the big, or the button. Baby Spider waking up with a much better hand. Why do we say that in poker?
What?
Why do we say waking up with?
I think it's because Hold'em is so boring. That you fall asleep until you get a playable hand.
You know, a couple of my partners here in the booth and in other places, I hear them say that, waking up with jacks there, or waking up with 10 jack of diamonds or whatever, and I'm like, I never, and then I say it, I'm like, why do we say that? That makes a lot of sense.
Because, I mean, if you really break it down and think about it, how, you know, probably what we spend most of the time doing in Hold'em is folding.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, once again, I want to thank all of you for joining us that are watching live and in the chat. So we're down to 5 here. And seeing actually not as much of a range adjustment as I would have expected. A little bit more positional play in 5-handed. Haven't had any big conflicts. Not huge.
Andrew just paid for this round of blinds.
Yeah.
Going all in with the jack deuce under the gun there.
Yeah. Yeah, that you start to see the positional play get a little stronger.
King 4 of clubs here on the button for JP. Decides to lay it down. All in from the small blind. Blind versus blind here. Baby Spider found an ace. Gotta take it down. Andrew has nothing to call with.
ROH 125 kilo. The table is ready for you. ROH.
Hand number 38 of this final table so far. The way this tournament worked today, guys, we started with 50 stacks in play. Players have been earning points for months and months since last October to qualify for this free roll tournament. A couple different ways that you can get in here was winning any main event. You automatically lock yourself up a spot at the final table, or excuse me, at the free roll. If you were the overall point leader for any individual stop, that automatically qualified you for the free roll. And in our RGV series, if you fired the most bullets, you automatically qualified that way as well. Then, the rest of the remaining 38 spots were left to the highest point earners.
That's 14. C7.
Beautiful flop for JP here. He's going to take it down. We got somebody joining us, a special guest.
What is up, TCH viewers? This is blogger extraordinaire Kirk Brown on the mic.
Going out? All right. Drive safe. I'll see y'all back home.
All right. It has been a real pleasure watching all these guys, not only today, but throughout the entire season. They've just been playing their little hearts out.
C1 fold. C2 fold.
7 dudes not playing it? Crazy.
C5 is all
Tran gonna rip it. King 8.
64,000.
And we'll take it down. What a series it's been here at TCH Austin. Part of me is sad that it's going to be over, but man, I am really glad it's over. Baby Spider folds the Choctaw Nuts. Action's over to Andrew. Who folds King 5. Johnny wakes up with the better King 9. We're going to open to
Raise 24
It's like-
from C7.
30, 24. Ooh.
Raise
Milan puts in the 3-bet,
75 from C8.
75K. Jonathan not wanting to get frisky. And I expect him to fold, yep. Man, Johnny is at a final table once again, and Andrew as well. They both were at final tables Andrew was here last night, and Jonathan was here in the main. Both looking, neither one got a win, so they're both looking to make up for it here, take home the big trophy. Andrew's going to move all in. Suited ace.
Yes, we are now in the final level before the end of registration in this $10,000 guaranteed double board yellow block pot tournament. 94K. Guaranteed 10K in this thing, only have 28 entries right now, so if you are interested in playing spin, head on over to KH, get signed up, come on over to the tournament.
Thinking. Nope. You had to really think hard about that one. 6 deuce, I mean, it just looks so pretty. Ooh. Does he want to gamble? Nope. And just gonna take down a nice little pot.
How does ordering food work? Here.
Service. I get service for pizza.
What are you getting?
The chicken tenders, yeah. Okay. Still a little, I mean, even if I bust out next hand, I'm still getting so hungry.
So as far as I know, and I would probably know best, 3 of these players have all final tabled a Trailblazer main event. JP has final tabled the Houston one, and Jonathan, of course, final tabled this one here in Austin, the second stop, and Elon final tabled the Dallas stop. So it's really cool to see all 3 of them here at another final table. JP's probably going to open here with King 5 and cut off. Nope. He's playing a little bit tighter than. Two sixes. They're just going to shove it with the 2 sixes, and we'll get some quick folds. Take it down.
That's kind of been the hand of the night 6s. We've had those over and over and over again. How you doing, Kurt?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Having a good time.
Oh, yeah. I was just telling them how it's really good to see 3 final tablers from the 3
Austin?
different mains.
Oh, yeah. That too. Yeah, we had a good Austin represent. Yeah, somebody was from RGV.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Spider, baby
I take
Spider.
that back. So 4 of these players.
Yeah, we've got RGV in the house.
That's right. Yeah, I was telling them JP was from Houston final table.
Yep.
Elon was from Dallas final table. And then Jonathan Buong was from this final table. And then Baby Spider is from RGV.
RGV, yeah. That's
Tournament
great.
of Champions, if you will.
Yeah, it is. It's representing the whole. So this is kind of the Texas State Champions.
It really is.
You know, I've said to the management for a while, having TCHs in so many different locations, we should have a Texas State Championship. Nobody else could claim it.
That's true. It's very true. Now, I will say, 2 of them are from Houston. So, I mean, maybe that's. I'm not saying Houston's better than everyone else, but.
You know, having lived in all the major cities in Texas, I would agree that Houston is never better than anybody else.
I haven't lived in San Antonio, but I've lived in both Dallas and Austin as well.
Yeah, both my kids
I
graduated.
enjoyed my time in both cities.
Yeah, I love San Antonio, but I chose Austin when I was given the opportunity to live anywhere. I chose Austin. I like Houston. I've got my goddaughter, in case she's listening. She doesn't want to hear me say bad things about Houston. She's actually in League City.
Yeah, I'm around that area.
Oh, okay.
You play tournaments a lot?
So, folks,
Just cash.
got Kirk in the booth with me. This is Uncle T. Josh had to go out and give an option to the players that we're talking. We'll see it here in just a second. We're talking about chopping. I will leave it to your imaginations what the result was, but you'll see it here in a second.
I have the grilled chicken tender.
Yeah, Alon. No, that's right. Alon was in the top 3 in Dallas. Got 100K out of that. So nice payout for Alon, who plays here.
Yeah, that was that big $1 million.
Yes, it was the big
The
one.
one that Mallory won.
Yes. Talked to Mallory all this week. Nice to get to know her.
Andrew's gonna move all in with.
Yep, a little slow on the feed here with.
Ace-4 suited.
Yeah, that's a good shove hand with 154 behind with the blinds up to 6, 12, 12. And that takes it down, bringing Andrew up to 184 as we run the totals across the bottom here. You'll see where we stand in stack sizes. Again, we started off kind of shallow, unusual for a tournament because it was a smaller in the number of entries, being the 50.
I noticed that it was kind of strange. I've watched so many of these. Seeing so many shallow stacks.
Yeah.
Because usually they have like over 1 million chips by this point. 'Cause
Yeah.
they've been playing for 2
Yeah.
days.
Right.
Andrew seems to have bounced back nicely from that Queen 10 hand.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That was a difficult position.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I make the same call.
Yeah, I do too. I don't see how you don't. There honestly, aside for some aggression out of Baby Spider, a little bit, not a ton, and others, this has been played extremely well. Now you kind of expect that considering this is like an all-star game,
right?
For the Trailblazer Tour and for TCH in general, but nobody's really made a bad call. Or Terry was very unfortunate in having his queens cracked like they did, but certainly understood where he was out. We were a little surprised by his all in, but also understanding of it at the same time.
Well, it means 50-50. They got an ace with a double.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
And
He's at 8-9.
Right. That's exactly right. The assessment of the no ace was good. The unfortunate part is he just ran into a terrible flop. Just got cooled.
Baby Spider's going to move all in. Queen 5 offsuit.
Which, in the small blind, he's done this twice now. Having everybody limp around to your blind position, that's a really good move.
And I have to agree with you that that 4-bet jam by JP with the ace 8 was nice.
Yeah, that was the move of the night. I mean, obviously Josh is getting a lot of credit for calling exactly the 62 kick.
God.
I was like, bro, he calls it before the player even grabs chips.
I think he's got inside information.
He must. He must be on his own timeline. Some time warp, poker time warp. By the way, we had the discussion about what is the color of poker.
I did hear it. It landed on green.
Green and red and black.
I'm just going to say gold.
Gold?
Gold bracelet.
Oh, nice. See, there's another way to look at it. I think color of poker is TCH black and white.
There you go.
We're both wearing the hat, aren't we?
We are. We both are wearing the hat.
All right, 5-way chop. Let's talk about it.
I see in it.
Okay, here's where they're going to talk chop.
Normally I don't, but like this is the last event. So, I'd be willing to look at numbers at least if you all want.
Me too.
So, folks, you know how much I hate the C word, but the players are having a little bit of a conversation about the chop. So we'll see how that conversation goes.
I think I played one hand and I lost a hand. And I was like, I was like, they're bad luck. Get them out of here.
This is where I'm telling JP he should can't take him seriously unless he puts on his shades.
Yeah, JP's not taking this one too seriously. You know, small potato.
Alrighty, guys, I am back
He's back.
for the time being.
And I will continue.
At least one.
Kirk, what was your favorite part about this series?
I mean, I'll
About
take
the
a look.
series?
Yeah, what was your favorite tournament?
Oh, man.
Besides the one that you played and won, you know.
First off, I didn't win. Good job. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm a very humble guy. I'm like the most humble guy you've ever met.
All right, fair enough. All right, Humble, what was the favorite tournament that you reported on this series?
I mean, it's always going to be the main.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was there was so much so much to report on. It was such a deep structure.
And it's just everyone's just playing their heart out.
Yeah.
Now the most fun one, and I really don't even like mix. I like mix, but I don't play it. Was the RO8.
Yeah,
I really like that tournament.
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I try to run it as often as I can.
All of y'all seem quite capable, unfortunately.
Yeah. If you guys want to look
Honestly, like all these tournaments run together. My
How
brain
long did
is
we play
honestly
for
fried by this point. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
That's a good
A
question.
couple levels.
I just go to sleep looking at flops.
Looks like we've got a clock pause here. Looks like we're gonna talk about a deal, maybe. We're counting chip stacks. Spoiler alert, this is why I had to step out of the room earlier.
184.
Oh, it looks like Alana's chip leading.
It's like 280.
280 for C7.
I'm going to have and take a guess that either Andrew or JP say no.
280 for C7.
You go to Alana?
302 for C.
I want to say Andrew because he's been really close to winning a trophy and he hasn't won
Yeah.
one yet.
Well, he did. He won the kickoff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So when I come out here in a minute, I don't believe that anybody should ever feel pressured into a decision or maybe to make a decision that they might not want to make. Because at the end of the day, this is everybody's money, and everybody has a right to continue playing for the posted payouts if they so choose. So we're going to pull out some yes/no cards, as we call them here. One card is green and says yes. One card is no and says no. Sorry, one card is red and says no. Each participant gets one of those cards after I tell them what the deal would be. They're asked to push forward their decision if they would like to do the chop or not. If they're all green, then we have a deal. If there's even one red,
Get a yes and a no card.
Oh, this is like a.
there they are.
Yeah, this is dramatic.
Once after you get your numbers, go ahead and push your answer.
well,
to
I do this with
the
almost every tournament
other
that we
card.
run here at TCH Social Austin.
game,
Yes,
and
no cards, and I
didn't
think
want to
everybody
chop,
should
but
follow suit.
Thursday 240 at Westheimer. Sunshine was like, "Come on,
Well,
man."
what tournament was that? I believe in ice beer.
So much graphic chopping.
That was the second chance deep stack, yeah.
And he had a
Before I
massive
even told him, he had all the chips.
270,000.
All right, let's listen up.
8,145. 6,175. 6,850. 8,275. 8,550.
What happened?
Want to hear any of those numbers?
What happened?
Sorry?
What happened with
He who wins the most money gets the
So the question was just asked there. If y'all didn't hear it,
most money gets the trophy.
Johnny asked,
Now,
what happens with the trophy?
where everybody looks up,
And I'm explaining here that whoever wins the most money in the tournament will also be awarded the trophy.
win more than anybody else,
Be alone.
get the trophy there.
Correct.
Try to deal somewhat like that, if that sounds more appealing to you guys. 25K, you can do another rebuy with the dealer, and you can do the add-on regardless of stack size.
Alon with 302,000.
All right, now we play our cards.
85.50.
What's going
Those
on?
would be worth it.
Yeah.
Now everybody's going to push their card forward, their decision.
then now if you would slide in your other cards. Yeah, the ones that you don't want.
Let's look at them really quick.
Oh, so this is that no one knows.
All right, guys.
The problem is they're see-through.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, there was a no.
Playing, guys. Good luck.
And that's the best part is nobody knows who it is, so nobody was
They were
pressured
secret, so
into
it really
making a
was
decision.
suspense.
They didn't
Maybe
want to
someone
name.
already played the no card.
Yeah.
So we continue play.
The battle rages on.
That's interesting. That's the first time I've seen that. So you can like,
I've never seen
you can say no, and like everyone doesn't like charge you.
Yeah, it's the first I've ever seen of that.
Yeah?
You doing that when
Yeah,
it came
yeah,
up.
it's the first one.
I really love that because we also,
Makes
one of the
sense.
things that
It'd be really
came up
funny if they
in
had,
the
like,
other
on
building and
screen,
then it
like,
carried
they
on
would
here
create those
is I had a
and,
deal
like,
because we have employees that like to play these tournaments. We want them to play these tournaments. I have more fun with dealers than I think any other players. They're just more fun than a box of monkeys. But they actually are a box of monkeys in many ways. But one of the things I had to deal with those players because I don't have a problem saying no. I typically am fine with most chops. I especially like to chop some down to a place like the bubble on some of our tournaments. Well, I had to deal with them. We had a signal that they would give me. So because these are also their customers they're playing with, I had a signal that they would give me that
I felt like I was on
told
a
me
game
they
show
didn't
playing
want to
fucking
chop
technology.
for whatever reason. They had good chips or they just wanted to play it out. And I would say no.
Like red lights
So
everywhere.
that this becomes totally nullifies that because you don't know who said no. So I love this. It gives people that might be a little more timid or they don't want people to be mad at them. Or I used to be married. I don't care if people are mad at me, but it allows you to kind of have a neutral stance.
Exactly. 100%.
And if people, I had to tell some players to stop trying to guess who the no was. It's not fair to them. That's the whole purpose, is that a person can just vote what they want to do. And this is, after all, their tournament. They spent their money to get here, just like you said.
100%.
So that was my 2 cents. I love this system.
Yeah.
So
great.
I hate to keep complimenting you.
Looks like we have an open Milan and a 3-bet to JP.
Wow.
Just a call. Let's see a flop.
That's
Pretty safe flop for tens, honestly. Let's see what JP wants to do.
T1's gonna bet 3,500. 35,000.
35 into 150. Nice little blocker bet.
CD calls. CD checks.
I would expect a check back here.
The river we go. Another 8. JP might think he's good with king here.
Alon's gonna bet. No? Wow.
Wow.
Did not expect that.
Did you just try to get
Maybe
the
she's
showdown
trying
here?
to-
Maybe your
no,
king's good?
she's inducing, I think. Good check back.
Tens.
Probably did not think he was up against something that strong. Maybe an ace high or something, but good check back either way. And Elan will just add to her chip lead.
The rich get richer. I think the only person we haven't talked about their hinted mob at this table yet is Mr. Baby Spider. He's got
He's
a pretty
from RGV, right?
Yeah, he's from the Valley. Yeah, down south. He's got a pretty impressive over 6 figures.
Was that live cash in the RGB cash? Or no.
I think that was here in Austin in the initial Trailblazer. He final tabled the opening
That's where
event.
I remember him from.
Yeah. Right here, Austin, event number 2. It was our $400 opener. No, that was 11,000 he cashed. Oh yeah, yeah. It was
some other poker room.
Some other poker place somewhere. Also took 4th in the PLO during that inaugural Trailblazer stop here. And the 65th in the main.
What do you, changing the subject, what do you think the next season's trophies will look like?
I think next season's trophies are going to be the coolest trophies that anybody has ever seen.
They're going to be the coolest trophies
ever. They're going to be huge. The biggest, the best you've ever seen.
There was an up card in there, I think.
Yes. Scratch resistant. Or, I should say, idiot proof. I like this one because it's big enough to cover up that big tear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I will give some credit here, though. These trophies are beautiful. They're made out of solid crystal. They weigh their part too. They're worth their weight in crystal, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Josh is off his game today. It's okay.
Oh, I had a good one earlier. I predicted.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
It's pretty good.
Final call, SK, the 5-0 draw spot. The table is ready for you.
Okay. Let's get back in the action.
This is really still anybody's tournament.
Of course.
It really is. One double from anybody.
What are the blinds? 15?
By 6-12. 6-12.
Yeah, I was telling him it's crazy to see so short of stacks.
Yeah, for
at
sure.
A live stream. Not short in big blinds, but just short in number.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very unique field, really. You know, of the 50, I put 50 starting stacks in play this morning.
Right.
And the players, the way the structure was written, you had until the beginning of level 5 to show up and claim your stack. And if you didn't show up and claim your chips, then I just remove them from play. So I actually removed over 150,000. Actually, yeah, about 150,000 from play. I picked up about 10 dead stacks that had been blinding off for the first 2 hours.
Some good players that you picked up.
100%, yeah.
And I'm sure these players were not mad about it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so we really had a true field of about 40 today.
Right.
10 just couldn't make it for one reason or another.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. I know there was 2 of them. Their kids had some sporting events this weekend, so family is very important, and I would choose that over a poker tournament any day as well.
Well said. There is not a gun.
But also, $15,000 for first. That could buy a lot of new soccer balls.
It's true. All right, I'm gonna let you hop back on here. Good to see you guys.
Thanks for hopping in with us, Kirk.
Of course, always a pleasure.
If you're reading the blog or anything on our website, TexasCardHouse.com, the Trailblazer blog, all those posts you see written in there by Mr. Kirk Brown himself, photographer, blogger.
I feel like
does it all.
it's John Madden and Pat Summerall, and they had like some celebrity come into the booth and do a little short stint. They were like,
Yeah, we should get one of those.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Y'all are brutal.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Kirk.
Got to know that young man this last tour.
Yeah.
Just enjoyed the heck out of him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Okay, you took some pictures for our upcoming events on the live stream, and did a great job and thoroughly enjoyable. Don't tell him I said that.
I won't.
Got to keep him humble.
H-Town strong.
H-Town.
I know a lot of really good people from H-Town. glad to have spent some time there. Happy to be here now, though.
Yeah,
I've been very pleased to. One of the first things I said when I got here, I made a video and we posted it online. I wanted to meet everybody in the Austin poker community, and I've met a lot of them so far. And let me tell you, these are some very kind people.
Yeah, I agree.
Very kind.
You know, having traveled a lot, and most of my work being in the Beltway, you know, Washington, Northeast, I'm always, people in that area especially will come down and say, "Are y'all always this way?"
Yeah.
You know, a man who grew up in New Jersey said, this beautiful woman came out of the mall, said good morning to me like she knew me. I did not know how to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, are people in Texas always that friendly? I said, they really are. I mean, certainly there's whatever influences, but
for sure.
And then you condense that down into the poker community, and there's great people.
I mean, you know, in Houston is just so big, but you know, in my experience, I was in Houston for 5 years as we have a big raise here from Alon. Johnny opened it up to 24,000, a min click. The ace-5 offsuit. Alon putting in the 3-bet with ace-queen. Action now, back to Johnny.
Did you say Johnny's been the most active at the table so far?
I don't know. I mean, it kind of comes and goes in streaks, I feel like, you know. Because there was a while where Alon was just on fire.
Yeah.
And Johnny was on fire. And Baby Spider early on was putting the pressure on, finding hands, finding spots.
That bet gets through.
This is just a very, very well balanced final table.
Really
Not to mention this final 5, the whole table though too.
So back to Houston.
Yeah, back to Houston. You know, it's so big. You know, I was there for 5 years. I met a lot of really great people. I come from a very small town. I grew up on a farm. You know, the closest town was 20 minutes away.
Texas farm?
No, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas.
Yeah. Closest town's 20 minutes away, and there's 700 people there. You know, the only place of business was a grain elevator. So going from there and moving to a place like Houston is.
You don't mind if I call you Dorothy from now on?
If I had $1 for every time I've been called Dorothy or Toto.
I dated a girl from Hutchinson, Kansas.
Yeah.
And I called her Dorothy once. Yeah. That surgery was from an emergency surgery. Yeah, those Kansas girls. God bless them. I used to fly over that all, you know, living in Kansas City and flying down to the Cessna plant, Topeka, in Wichita, and
I grew up just southeast of Wichita.
Ah. Well, you know where Hutchinson is.
Yeah,
then.
very much so.
Biggest grain elevator in the world.
Yeah. We have also the biggest ball of twine in the world.
Isn't that in a movie?
Probably.
I think of that John Travolta movie where he was an angel. Michael. Yeah.
Also, the deepest hand-dug well in Kansas.
Hand-dug well.
Yeah, the deepest hand-dug well.
Is the guy that dug it still down there?
Probably so. Greensburg, Kansas, home of the world's deepest hand-dug well.
I don't even want to. It'll give me the heebie-jeebies if you tell me how deep it is.
I could tell you. Oh, yeah, it was just a big culture shock going to Houston, and, you know, there was a lot of great people I met, but there was a lot of really angry people there. You know,
really?
There's a lot of people are just not nice or happy, you know. But on the same flip of the coin, I met a lot of great people there. I'm very happy to have met everybody, but everybody in general in Austin is just so much nicer.
Well, that could be the weed. Who knows? Maybe we're just more at ease. I agree, though. Dallas got a little bit mean for me. San Antonio is a very friendly town. So we are obviously all in for Baby Spider with 86K. Johnny's thinking about his ace-3. Along the original Razor,
86.
Playing Jack-8, which is totally legitimate, is dominated in this hand. And the hearts. So it's going to be fold. And once again, Baby Spider's doesn't have a problem shoving it all in there and getting others to shut down. I'm sorry. Tucson? you know not whereof you speak. By the way, it's one S in Texas. I'll tell you what, it is very interesting to hear people from other parts of the world, much less the country, talk about Austin poker or Texas poker specifically. My favorite small pair for JP, who's been quiet a little bit lately, with 169 behind, with the blinds about to move up. I believe to 16-16.
We are returning to 1500 ante. Dealers returning to 1500 ante. Please shuffle up and deal.
And once again, Baby Spider shoves. Is of 140K. Johnny may look him up this time. He may be getting a little tired of this. And he does make the call with ace-jack, dominating the jack-10. Lon gets out of the way, obviously, with the king-4. And Baby Spider is at risk. Just a complete blank of a flop. King means nothing. Only a 10. And that's it for Baby Spider. So we have our next elimination, 5-handed out in 5th place. I'll show you the totals here in just a second. Everyone says goodbye to Baby Spider, who did our GV proud. Nice young man. So he goes out with a $3,000 payout in 5th place. Not a bad night. Played extremely well. Was probably the most, I'd say the most aggressive in spots player, but played great.
We're racing off of one case, by the way. Oh, yes.
Danny, will you have one player behind the yellow, please?
Looks like we're going to take a break here. Pause the clock. Well, not pause it, but go on break. Allow the players to take a little time. We are, I guess, 3 hours into it. Hard to believe. No, 2 hours into it. So they're going to take a 2-hour break. We are going to keep the stream alive, so there won't be a fast forward because we have the 50-minute delay. So stay with us. This is Uncle T in for our guest appearing Kurt and Josh, our tournament director, TCH Social Live Austin. The final 50 tournament, 50K guaranteed, and that big, beautiful trophy. And we'll be back momentarily as we chip up.
Yeah, we're on break. Yeah. What did the other guy have in the hand? Okay. I just want to know any information of note that I know you don't know the game real well, but anything noteworthy or things people have said or yeah.
Alright, Danny. So I got 100, 200, 280.
They were misgendering me. Yeah.
I'm also going to take.
I'm sure the YouTube comments are gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Table 5.
Yeah. I wasn't the one that voted no. I voted yes.
Annoying mouse. No. Alright, thank you.
Yeah. Got 85 bucks. But I'm gonna do my best. Yeah. 4. The very last hand before the break, someone got eliminated. I wasn't involved in the end at all. No. Yeah.
No, that's one of
Yeah.
ours. Where?
Do my best.
Where are these?
Yeah. Yeah. TM is a god. Yeah, you have many chips. Not much to do, but he's like a god. Yeah. Yeah. Which one is he? Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's more exciting when there's less people because then you have to be more active. Are you enjoying watching? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I doubt it'll go that much longer. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go head back. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Final table is of the Invitational.
All right, I gotta go.
Quarter minute to return to your seats. Little under a minute to return to your seats. $15K.
raised 30,000.
All right, folks, welcome back. Looks like we've colored up to 25Ks. As you can see, the red chips, gotten rid of the 1,000 chips as JP has the kings. Ronnie with ace-6. Danny back in the hot seat. Gut shot for Johnny, 1 spade. Very, very good check by kings. See if this induces something out of Johnny with his backdoor spades and his 3 that he could hit. Once again, I want to welcome y'all to TCH Social Austin, the final 50 tournament of the Trailblazer Poker Tour, wrapping up for the year. Thanks for all of you joining us. Thanks to y'all in the chat. So we're down to 3 players. Sorry, 4 players. Wow. Wow. Fold to the 254 for a 25K bet. What do you think? That's pretty tight fold with that flop. JP at 127 evidently didn't think it was worth the effort to put his chips at risk, thinking about maybe the next bet. Folds to the turn bet. Johnny's up with 451, very close to Alon's stack. Andrew at 166, JP at 125. Johnny immediately gets a very similar hand. From ace-6 of spades to ace-8 of spades. He's going to lead out for 30. Lines are at 10, 15, 15. So again, sticking to the min click. Lon gives up the hand. JP is thinking about his 6s and does shove them. So going to be at risk for 115K. Andrew gets out of the way. Gives up his big blind. And we've got an at-risk situation for JP, ace-8. You see the equity here. Well, that's about as even as you get. And nails the flop again with 2 pair. Only the 6 can save John or JP, and it's not there. So we've eliminated our 4th player. JP having a great tournament. He'll be headed to the cage for his payout, as that turns Johnny's stack into a significant chip leader, basically having about 55% of the total stack, or the total chip count. So JP goes out in 4th, getting $4,000. Nice tournament by him. Great player. Really enjoyed watching him. I hope you did as well. And we are down to 3. So 6 players eliminated for the final 9 of our final 50. As you can see, the stack size is going in. Andrew's the short stack. Trophy there in the middle, which is the big trophy that Josh talked
I
about.
never know whether they're calculus.
Yep, I don't disagree with you on the king hand. That kind of would expect a shove out of that, especially on that flop.
Guys all in.
And Andrew is going to play the king queen all in. Johnny's going to fold his queen 4, unless he's feeling very speculative. So it's going to be up to Elon. $125K.
Call.
And the ace-9 makes the call. Very similar situation. The clean run out would go to Elon. And binks the 9, but Andrew does have the diamond. Unfortunately, that diamond is counterfeited by the ace of diamonds. So that's going to go with the nuts to Elon, and we are down to 2 players very quickly. Andrew going out
I really want this.
in 3rd place.
Well, we could chip up 4,000 of the 5,000 and play for 1,000.
$6,000 going to 3rd place. Nice little pay. Had a great end of the tournament, of this segment of the tournament leg here in Austin, the 2nd phase. Played really, really good poker.
Yeah.
Very happy for him to cash this in. Probably a little frustrating for him,
Play for the trophy.
but nothing to be ashamed of. That's for dead,
This
I'm
is pretty
sure.
greedy.
Playing the best of the
admittedly.
best.
If with ICM and I got it, I do that. But if you don't, I would completely understand if you don't want to do that.
Well, no, we still play for the trophy. That's what I'm saying.
I would only chop if I got it. Again, I know that's greedy. And
Okay, you really went into the trophy. Let's see, how much do I have? I think you're more than me.
I think I do.
I have 5.
It's like pretty much almost steady.
I have,
I have 585.
that's 605. Or do I? Maybe I don't. Oh, I do. I mean, if you don't want to do that, which I completely understand, like, I'm very willing to play it out.
A little bit of chop talk,
Basically,
obviously.
I'm trying to get a little extra juice, and if you don't want to do that, I completely understand. Like, that's
Yeah. No, play it out for the trophy. I was just saying we could just set aside some of it so we're playing for less. That's what I was saying. Because we each blocked up 10, right? So we have 5 playing for 5. So I was saying we chip chop 4 and then play for 1,000 in the trophy. Or chip chop 3 and play for 2,000 in the trophy. So that's an equitable chop for 2 players.
no, I completely
Yeah.
understand. I'm not.
Yeah.
What you're saying is completely true. I'm not.
It's up to you. I'll just play it out too if you
Yeah, I
want.
think it'd probably just play it out.
Alright, let's play it out.
Playing it out.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
I really don't have a chip lead anymore.
So we're going to play this out. We're very, very close to stack, obviously. It's kind of hard to make a, maybe after another hand, the attitude will change a little bit on whatever player loses that hand. Again, the blinds are 10, 15, 15. They're both looking at 20 big
If I
blinds.
didn't ask you that, I'd be kicking myself regardless.
Very evenly matched.
I'll give you
So they're going to let Daniel and their skill
Space.
It's just the lucky form.
You were just big blind.
make it happen.
What?
Weren't you just big blind last
Yes, I was last big blind.
So we're going to play heads up. For those of you that like heads up poker, I love it.
Congrats.
It's my favorite part. Not just because I got there, but because it's just a different dynamic completely. Usually do a lot more talking. Obviously, the hand ranges are completely different. Queens are ahead. The D queen.
Bet 20,000.
Everything misses. The queen's still good. So now we're a little more separated, not by much. Again, one good sized hand when you're this close is whoever wins that hand is going to be dominating the other player. Jack for Elon.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe a little afraid of the queen or the king. I don't really know why. You wouldn't bet the previous.
I mean, honestly, I feel that, so few people have real experience playing heads up. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, I have very little. I'm always every tournament that I've ever actually, the one tournament that I actually played it all the way out to a winner was a horse tournament.
Really?
Yeah, and I ended up winning the trophy. But I think almost every other tournament that if I've won it, it's been by chop.
Yeah,
It's just so common nowadays.
At our smaller tournaments at the old building, we used to have, I probably got in heads up 10, 12 times.
Right.
And I always say that one night that Kenny Rogers and I played, as Elon bets the ace-5 heads up, and the blinds were just huge, and it was a lot of fun. But I've also ground them out with a player that wouldn't chop, and it's such a different kind of poker where well-timed aggression is just irresistible as the ace hits. 25K bet to a $5,000 pot is going to take it down, and of course now Elon's going to have a pretty good chip lead unless Johnny decides to do something outrageous and gets away with it. And they do take it down, so now up to 610. This is going to be kind of how it is unless you get a real clash of the Titan hands. They're going to be pretty even back and forth, playing for blinds. A lot of quick hands. I really enjoy it. I had a young man that did not want to chop. We kept a poor dealer there for a long time because I just couldn't get hands and was definitely more aggressive. Finally got the perfect hand against him. And you get such a profile on the player, even a really good player. It's just hard to play 40 hands in a short period of time without getting a real feel for the other player. But yeah, and I had a fairly good success rate heads up, just because I enjoyed it so much. I think I played with a lot more positive energy. I hate to go down that road, but
15,000.
diamond draw and 2 over, well, 1 over. That card's complete blank. You see the equity because of the diamonds. And of course, that's the other thing to factor in is there are no dead cards really, except for the burns.
Which nobody knows anyways.
Right. 8-5 makes the straight.
Wow, that is so disguised. That is very disguised.
Yeah.
Luckily for Johnny, he didn't really connect with the board.
He's going to fold this pretty quickly anyway. It's a pot set. Elon makes a pot size bet. May feel like his ace is good here. Like, really? But this is where the range is. You just don't have ranges in these hands, especially if you go check, check. If he does decide to call, this will be a pretty significant chip rearranger, redistributor. And we move on to the next one. Again, just not much difference in chip stack amounts, and I think these two will grind it pretty hard. Elon's going to raise it up to 30, looks like. 40,000. Oi!
What?
Oi!
What? What a dream spot.
Now, the question is do you just call, maybe take a little time, seem a little reluctant, chew on your food, maybe kiss the trophy once or twice in your head, or do you jump on it? Yeah, unfortunately,
85?
85 is probably going to get with this hand.
110. Wow, 110.
Big bet. This will get
Lon
a
does
lot
have
of fold.
position.
Yeah,
but does not have a $110,000 hand.
Yeah, see, I kind of in my mind I was like, don't bet it, because so frequently your opponent with the small blind button is going to bet just about anything.
Sure.
So you are so often crushing them, unless you're just an Aces hater, American Airlines hater, which I am. Then you're not going to make as much.
Yeah.
If you just float, pray that they hit their top card.
Yeah. It is definitely a strategy that many have tried before, and many will likely do again.
I think it's more valid in heads up.
I would agree. Yeah, I think you can slow play those monsters.
If I'm playing aces against 3 other players, we ain't waiting on much. I'm charging. I do not want to play. I want to play those aces heads up only.
Lon open-ended. Johnny with an inside straight draw. We see a turn card.
Well, we saw Danny move.
The king.
I'm going to call it now. This board is going to counterfeit everybody. We're going to chop it. Yep.
Wow.
Choppy. If unless somebody bets, which is going to be a positional bet. First one to bet or last one to bet. That's a good move.
Yeah, bet wins it there because neither player can call ever. They could only raise bluffing.
Yeah, first one to bet wins. So now Johnny's back up just by a tiny bit. I'm not even going to pay attention to the chip stacks anymore, folks, until we have a significant hand. Y'all can read as well as I can. Actually, you can probably read better than I can. Hand number 70.
Double down. Oop, wrong game.
Yeah, definitely a double down. Not a bad flop for either one. The spades are a little bit scary, but again, we're playing heads up. Open-ended for Elon and a gut shot for Johnny. Needs Elon 7 or 7. Right play there is always to bet your open-ender.
Well, here we are now. What time did we start this final table? About 2.5 hours
We started,
ago?
yes. 2 hours and 27 minutes and 10 seconds.
Wow. Pretty specific.
Yeah, pretty, only because they got a clock in the corner of the screen for me.
Yeah, I definitely when I made this structure, I definitely wanted there to be, I knew that obviously the amount of chips that were in play were almost going to be exactly set, minus the few who didn't show up that got removed. But I wanted there to be enough play because this is a prestigious deal,
Yeah.
And this field is this was the entire field that showed up today was a very tough field.
Oh yeah.
Making it to this final table is a feat just in itself.
I agree. Queen for Johnny. Elon in the past has not continued, but it looks like they're going to do it now. Going to make an $80K bet into a $105,000 pot. Might give Johnny a little pause. But with second pair, yeah, you're going to almost always call here.
Wow.
First misstep, really, by Elon all night.
I don't know if maybe it was a misstep. Maybe it's just
bad timing.
Yeah.
I think if you could call it at worst, certainly the right.
There's definitely
intention.
a lot of hands that Jonathan can have there that just fold. I think.
Yeah, I think anything but the queen or the ace.
Yeah.
Elon looks a little frustrated, not probably with themselves, but with the kind of stickiness of the player. But that has been Johnny all night long. Well, we saw this hand before.
Battle of the Deuces.
Yeah, Queen 2, 9-2.
Raise 60,000.
Wow, that's a gutsy call. That let me tell you, that's when you make a bet with a fairly weak hand, you get called, 4 alarms go off in your head. So this really shifts the pre-flop hand range so much in Elon's favor.
Flavorful board here.
Very.
The fake heart check there from Elon.
And a value bet. Is there anything more scary than a value bet? 60,000 into a $135,000 pot, 1/3 pot, even less. Great move.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
see how that just
absolutely.
He just pulled all the energy of the hand into her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what they're presenting at that moment. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like a ball game a little bit. It's the same thing in poker. Momentum is huge here.
Yeah. It's one thing to be related to baseball. It's one thing to be a fastball pitcher, but there's nothing that takes an energy out of a ballpark than when somebody's throwing absolute fire and somebody smokes it.
Yeah,
it's like it's kind of a Nolan Ryan reference. So you're going to give up home runs that way, taking the aggression, but when that aggression is pulled back from you, it's really
100%.
hard to continue unless you crush it.
Looks like we are going to see a flop here. Off to the races. Pair for Johnny. And now a straight draw for Johnny and a straight draw for Elon.
Yeah, open-ended for Elon.
Both holding each other's blockers here. And another 9. Give the check mark to Johnny with his deuce.
And position.
Bet 20,000.
Bottom pair is hard to call.
Call 15. Check.
I will say I think Alon probably should maybe take a little more opportunity to use her call option to raise.
20,000.
Now we haven't had any hands that really would be classic raise hands heads up. But I think a lot of times if you just float, you're kind of begging your big blind to just come over the top of you.
Yeah. I think definitely heads up, more so than, any other way of poker. I think you have to, when you decide you're going to play a hand and you have that position, I think you have to be aggressive.
Johnny gets 2 pair.
Nothing for Alon. Be a pretty quick bet and fold on to the next one.
This is where, just on that vein, this is where heads up, I found myself thinking a lot more about folding my small blind, because that made the times that I did raise seem a lot more legitimate. If you're just calling, and then you decide to raise, and somebody say, well, maybe that hand, as opposed to the calling hand, is only 20% better.
Yeah.
Whereas if you fold a couple of times, they're thinking, oh, they're not going to play their junk.
Yeah. Well, and
you're not
you
giving
really
up
should
that much.
You should definitely have some folds.
Yeah. So far, we've been just calling in those positions, which I get that, because you just want to try to get to the
I
flop.
mean, in a situation like this, they're playing for a difference of $5,000. First place is $15,000, second is $10,000. So that's effectively what you're playing for is $5,000.
Yeah,
because they've both already locked up 10.
Yeah, I mean, in honesty, at this point in the tournament, I'm only thinking about that pretty piece of crystal.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. It's got a certain value to what you're playing for. That goes back to what you talked about, the value of individual 1,000K chips or whatever.
Which actually, you know what?
You going to do it again?
So I'm going to do it again. I want to see what a 5K chip's
worth. Well, as my partner slips into nerdiness, Alon wakes up with the aces.
Goodness. Wonder if Alon's going to take your advice here and put some more chips into the pot. Wow.
Well, the big blind is. Yeah.
The smooth call.
Just a smooth call, but it's coming. You just pray once again that they hit, although this is not a board that hits.
There's some backdoor draws for Johnny's hand here.
Yeah. Oh, the check is going to work.
30,000.
Now, you do have those moments where you think, gosh, these hands could be anything.
Raise.
80,000 is going to get him to fold. So you're showing me 105.75.
That's what one of those white chips is effectively worth right now.
Gotcha. $105 of real-time money.
Yeah.
So the aces have shown up twice. Neither one has gotten paid particularly well. That's why we're still even, basically.
Yeah. Anybody's tournament. Anybody's tournament.
This is about who's the most patient and who has an actual heads-up strategy. And there's lots out there about heads-up strategy, even 3-way, 4-way action.
Right, 20 to start.
Ever thought about having a heads-up tournament, or is that just too much of a nightmare?
No, I enjoy heads-up tournament. The problem with heads-up tournaments is, one, it's a capped field. Two, the only real time you can run those is during the middle of a large series where you're going to have a lot of people from out of town, a lot of people in the same place at once.
Right.
You run it, in between some flights for a main event. Typically cap it at like 64 entries.
Yeah.
If you want to run it smaller, 32. And it is tough because it's just a down killer, as we call it in the industry, because it takes one dealer for every 2 players.
That's why I say it was just logistically impossible. You got to have so many people.
Yeah, exactly.
to fill the. Unless you ran them in basically rounds of small groups. I don't know. I don't even know how you do it.
So the last time that I was a part of a heads-up tournament, Justin Hammer had organized it, and he was able to find a sponsor to sponsor that tournament specifically.
To pay the
and
dealers.
all of that money went to the dealers.
Smart.
And it was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that heads-up tournament was very successful, and it was.
Where was this?
This was in Houston.
Wow. Yeah. All right, so I'm sending you in to do that mode.
Yes, exactly. And I have.
All we got to do is find a sponsor.
Exactly. I have all the plans for the tournament scene here in Austin, and as much as we all want them to, we can't do it overnight. So
No, I know. I totally get it. I mean, this is the translation of the size of the building that we were in before to the building here, and everything that goes with that, being the flagship of the TCH.
Absolutely.
Group. Y'all killed it.
Yeah.
Starting with the first day when we had 175 people lined out the door or more.
Yeah, full spread immediately. That was, I was actually, the crazy, this is, just Texas poker in a nutshell here. So this place was jam-packed, not a table open, crazy full, right?
Yeah.
So while that was happening, I was working at the Las Colinas location for the Poker Atlas Tour. There was a huge series that we were running in Dallas during the time. So that place was packed too. Austin was packed, like there's just the scene here in Texas is just so large where this room can be completely filled up with, probably 400 or 500 people.
Yeah.
And, between the Dallas location and the Las Colinas location, both of them being full spread during the time.
I can't even imagine what the corporate group was doing, just chasing their own tails around as the queen hits for Johnny. Sure. Again, not much for Alon. Usually it seems to hit one player. We haven't had a real opportunity to play at the net, as they say. Yeah, I was out of town, which I just was so livid because, the date kept getting pushed off because of construction issues and other things. So I was at the conference that I go to every year, this week-long conference for military medicine, and I was just hating life because I got the video from a young lady that works during the days up at the front desk, sent me the video, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm okay with not being there.
Right, yeah.
Because I would have been one of those suckers standing outside.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was quite the grand opening, to say the least.
For sure. I think the closest that we've came to being that close was this past Friday night to being that busy again. We had, at our peak, we had only 7 tables available. Those were the only tables.
Between cash and tournaments.
Between cash and tournaments, yeah.
Wow.
It was a busy night in here on Friday.
Yep.
We were all running around chickens with our heads cut off.
Yeah, I imagine after this is all said and done, as much as it's been a success, probably also a good time for y'all to take a little time off afterwards and just decompress.
Exactly. And
it's a big undertaking.
For sure. And it's definitely, what a lot of people don't see from the operations standpoint is, the months and weeks of work that go previously into planning these events and making sure I got the trophies ordered, making sure that the trophies all say the right thing on them, making sure, I have an itinerary, who's working.
Details.
It really takes a whole village to run these kind of events, and you just really can't understand that until you're a part of it. As Johnny going to wake up with
J's for Johnny.
With the hooks. Corpus Christi hooks.
Well, Jack, the case Jack hitting here would be pretty ugly.
The Jack high board, you imagine?
Wow.
Ooh, wow.
That may be a Ugly anyway.
This is very interesting here.
Yeah.
Check, check.
Just not been as aggressive as
Yeah.
I want him to be.
Well, I really think, and I don't know this, but
Yeah.
I imagine neither of these players have too much experience playing heads-up poker.
Yeah, or experience with each other.
Correct.
So that they're short player profile and experience.
Wow.
Well, that's good for jacks, obviously.
Probably just goes check, check here. I don't think, unless Alon tries to bluff at it, but I don't think there's any value from Johnny putting a bet in here. I think he only gets called by better. He might seem to think otherwise. Matt's in the chat. Thank you so much for those kind words, Matt. We definitely do our best, and y'all are the reason that we do it.
Yeah.
Cannot do it without y'all.
Yeah, I have such a player perspective on this. This is not going to get a call by Elon. Having played at Walmart,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, not since this, I haven't stepped foot in. I can honestly say, since this building's been here, the new one. But having played there, I walked. I remember I always tell the story that I walked over with Victor while it was still under construction and the lighting was being worked on, and he was explaining how much time and effort was put into the lighting, the indirectness, because of things they learned from the casinos and even Dallas.
Yeah.
With the lights on the edge of the tables and things that cause players to actually. You could go into the metrics of how much less they spend at the table per person. And I thought, well, this is going to be bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
And so I came a week into it, back from my trip, walked in, and I just thought, yeah, why would I go anywhere else?
Right.
Why would I do anything else? Now I'm dipped in TCH.
Sure.
So as Alon has kings, and this is
here it is. This is the whole tournament.
Kings versus eights. Now,
wow,
Johnny's got some behind, so he's not going to be dead. Hearts are not a factor, and that's a clean run out for kings.
Wow.
So
all of that comes down to this.
Yeah, to kings versus eights. We knew it was just a matter of time.
And the new chip stacks are 830 for Alon and 350 for Johnny.
Yeah, by no means over.
No.
He can still, with 2020 big blinds and Annie, he can still maneuver. He's got 16, essentially, so 15. Yeah, 17 and a half big blinds for Johnny. Still some room to maneuver, but that is definitely a turning point. We'll see if it becomes the turning point in the heads-up matchup. Now, do you offer a deal if you're Elon?
I don't know. I mean, I think
depends on how much you want the crystal.
Yeah, I guess so. And that's the thing is Johnny wants the trophy. When I went out there earlier, when we did the yes/no chop, I don't know that it was him that said no, but before anybody voted, he said, after I said the numbers, he said, "Well, what happens with the trophy?" And that's when I explained, whoever wins the most money is going to win the trophy.
Gotcha.
And that's so it's definitely a factor for him. He wants that.
Yeah,
that
and I
big
get
rock.
that. To me, I wouldn't be thinking about the money at all. I'd want to play it out, especially if I was the shorter stack now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, $15,000 is obviously something to play for, right? But
yeah,
you've already locked up 10.
Yeah,
he's just coming off of a big win from the main. He cashed almost 50,000 in the main.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have a trophy to show for it yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get it.
It's definitely a factor.
And Elon shoves the ace-9. Can play a little bit of a bully roll here. Big stack shove around, as I call it.
Yeah, selectively, I think.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you just keep doing that. Eventually, you know, Johnny's going to wake up with something, and you get your hand caught in the cookie jar. But wow,
Another big hand
that
for
is a
Alon.
primo.
Yeah, you can't express how big a hand that is. Heads up.
Just a limp, trying to induce here.
Oh my! Here
it
we're back
is,
to where
all
we
in and a
started
call,
at the beginning of the nine person. Ace King versus Ace King. Ace Jack versus Ace Jack. King Queen versus King Queen.
I think the dealers want to work long tonight.
They want to what?
They want to work for a long time. They don't want to go home.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. I have too many dealer friends.
All in.
All in and a call, surely. Oh, not a snap call. Want to ask for a count?
Yeah, this is a little bit nitty. This is what my friend Will would call a nit roll a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, any Broadway card you have in your hand, I
At
think
the
you
same
just have
time,
to make the call here.
This 310,000 is the difference between being the chip leader and
Exactly.
not.
So that's the factor here, you know.
Yeah.
I think King Jack of Hearts is too premium.
I agree, but I might take the time to think about it just to make sure that I'm like in touch with. Yes, yeah, that was a nit roll. It was not a slow roll. Oh,
Okay.
that was a sweat.
That really was.
Had me sweating. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but
Giuseppe says they can always make a deal between them and hand over the trophy. So I was told earlier that
what does that mean?
there was
Hand over the trophy.
I think what he's saying is play for the trophy, make a deal for the
Oh
money.
yeah, I think that was actually suggested. Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
what was said is Jonathan said either we're going to chop right now and I get the trophy, or we're going to play it out and I'm going to win the trophy. So
yeah, you know, poker players have to be a little arrogant, and fearless.
Yeah.
This one's just take a hand off.
But I will tell you, Johnny, he is humble though. He's a humble young man, and he's an up and comer in the scene for sure. Back to what we were talking about earlier, you know, what goes into running these tournament series.
Yeah.
You know, not only, you know, the weeks and the months in preparation before that, you know, nobody sees. You know,
Yeah.
nobody sees all the work that goes into it. And, you know, not on that note, I still have a bunch of work to do after the series is over. You know, I've probably
Regarding
got,
the series?
yeah, I've probably got, you know, at least 2 or 3 days.
Well,
worth
you were
of-
talking about you enter your stuff into the gang, and
Yeah.
so is stuff like that, or
yeah,
just
it's
tracking?
a lot of admin work. Really.
Looks like we're all in with Queen 9. Alon folds quickly.
Yeah, so I mean, I do report all of our results to Handed Mob. So there's, you know, I try to go over those with a fine-tooth comb as much as I can and make sure that we have as much correct information on there, you know, that everything is accurate, and get that sent over for Handed Mob to get reported. You know, filing. The biggest thing is probably filing all the tax paperwork, honestly. So, and then also I'm responsible for, you know, tracking all of the, as we call them in the industry, downs. A down is when a dealer is sitting here dealing for a certain period of time. We would call that a down. So they get paid for how many downs that they deal during these tournaments. So I have to go through, and I have a Excel spreadsheet that I'm pretty proud of. Made it myself. But as we've already learned on this stream, I am a bit of a nerd when it comes to things like that. So,
Well, I mean, it just strikes me, having gotten to know you in the last few months. Just, you know, we've talked about several situations and been involved with some things and talked. You have to be very detail oriented to do what you do. That's obvious. It's almost like an analytics kind of position, or a statistical analysis. Plus, there's a ton of data on how you run these tournaments, what the structure should look like, based on what your goals are. So,
yeah, no, 100%, and it's I keep very, very detailed records, and you know, obviously my bosses they want updates during the middle of a series. You know, what's going on? How are we doing?
Interim
What does this look
reports.
like?
Oh.
You know, so I have these spreadsheets that you know shared with everybody, so we can keep updates how we're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, all of the results, how many entries we got in this one, and rebuys and add-ons, and what works, what doesn't work, and there's so many factors that go into this. Like, you know, it's even to the point where I've started tracking what the weather was. What? Because it matters so much. It really does. And that's the crazy part. You know, I'll literally be talking to people, man, I can't believe it. Why didn't you come out and play this? You didn't see the weather outside? Dude, I got a family. I'm going out to hike with my kids. I'm going to the lake. You know,
that's interesting. So extreme weather, but still weather.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, when it's a nice day outside, I'm finding in Austin, people would much rather do anything besides play poker. Not everybody, but, you know.
I started saying that, and that's insane to me.
Yeah, and it really blew my mind, too. You know, in Houston, there's so many people, so many poker players. I'm used to, you know.
Not having to factor that in.
Not having to factor much of anything in. I put something up, and people come and play it. You know? So it's definitely a challenging market here, and I'm really really trying to dive in and get as much data as we can and provide the best product across the board. You know, I think we all know that competition is relevant. You know, and it's here, and it's good. It's healthy competition. Definitely good for the community. But we got to make sure it stays that way. You know,
it's so hard for me not to say something smarmy right now. I'm going to say, yes, it is healthy competition. But yeah, I get what you're saying. You know, that one of the reasons that the Austin music scene, and this is not original to me, the Austin music scene and Austin food scene is as good as it is because there is a strong competition.
Yeah.
The camaraderie, it's not necessarily that they're head-to-head in a competition, but you can go to tourist traps like Orlando and Las Vegas and not have as many good choices as you do in this town.
Wow.
Or music or food.
Right.
Partially because it's more privatized here and less corporatized.
Right.
But it's because it's been built up organically.
Sure.
Austin is an organic town. Houston is not.
Right.
It's a petroleum-based town.
Yeah.
So even Dallas was a financial build-up town. Fort Worth was cow town. So this place was built on a culture of culture.
Yeah.
So without that sounding too submaronic,
yeah,
to say that. Exactly. That's why I love it.
Excited to see the jack.
Yeah, I definitely am starting to venture out a little bit more. You know, when we get some time, going out and trying some of the different food options, and there are a lot of them. And you know, that's coming from Houston, where there's so many food options in Houston. Like,
yeah, there are. It's by just sheer weight alone.
Yeah. Oh wow, Queens, quick raise and a quick fold.
Yeah, these hands are just racking through so fast.
Yeah, it's so, and they just play really themselves sometimes.
Yeah,
and there's nothing you can do about it.
As Alon has moved significantly out in front now with more than twice. Obviously, again, a hand completely flips that. It would be 580 to 600 on an all-in that Johnny won. So we're still not in a desperation zone by a long shot. I don't think any pair Johnny's raising here.
All in.
Or shoving.
Quick fold.
Riveting action.
Yeah.
You hear Johnny riveting.
Mm-hmm. $1,180,000 chips are in play here. Big blind of 20,000. Really, blind's still pretty low.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I
rapidly forced into.
Yeah, and I didn't want that for this tournament. I told everybody who was asking about me, everybody just has this idea in their head that free rolls are just a sham and get everybody in quick, get their money, get them out, find a winner quick. But this isn't your normal free roll.
No,
this is a prestigious event, and it deserved a prestigious structure.
Yeah, I heard you talking about the blinds to your friend it was sitting next to me when you were playing
Yeah.
about the blind structures, and he was asking about. I assumed it was about this.
Raise the 75.
Wow, that by far the tightest player of the night has been Elon. I understand you want to avoid that catastrophic hand, but you do. Unfortunately, you do that too many times, and a player like Johnny,
Yeah,
will take it, will exploit it
100%.
and then he just has to have a sense for when Elon does have a big hand.
Right.
Maybe he hears me. Elon raises to 50K.
Ooh, wow, here we go. You can see some fireworks here.
Yeah, this may be a hand that Johnny feels like he's got to be aggressive with. Does just call.
Flops best. Backdoor flush draw for Elon. C bet incoming.
Great check.
Down bet to 40.
Wow. Very deceptive, smooth call.
Oh, bad
And,
news for
yeah,
Elon.
Yeah. Because you could very well see your opponent hitting a 5 there.
Yeah.
That's going to make it a little easy for them to get away from the hand.
I think Johnny might be able to squeeze some thin value here. You know, maybe a small bet of 55 or 60,000 here. Might find a call from Elon.
Yeah.
Looks like Johnny's going to size a bit bigger.
Make it look a little bluffy.
Yeah. 130 looks like. Yep.
This is all about if Elon feels that they've been kind of pushed around a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, normally in a
makes the call. Gonna get the bad
that's
news.
a big turn.
Nice sizing there.
Yeah,
as it
looked
turns
a
out for
little
Johnny.
bluffy.
Yeah.
I always say there's nothing more scary than a value bet. So when you want to make a value bet and you make a larger bet,
Sure.
Obviously, this is well known. You're more likely to get called. So Johnny completely comes back from being down to 33%.
Back to dead even.
Yeah, to essentially dead even.
Actually, slightly in the lead now.
Yeah.
30,000 in the
Yeah.
lead. This
Yep. Not even 2 big blinds in the lead.
97th hand. This on the table.
Yeah, we started off, I want to say around hand 70, maybe a couple of more when we got down heads up.
By the way, guys, the starting stack in today's tournament was 30,000. So
Yeah.
anybody who wants to tell me that they need more chips to start with, here is proof that that is not always the case.
That's something y'all got me in touch with, is why that things that make sense to players. Although you did go with me on the shorter break before, or shorter time before break on the ante tournaments, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
As somebody that needs to pee frequently. Yeah, every time I go to say something or hear a player make a comment about it, when the logic comes back, I'm like,
right.
That's why I don't say anything about structures.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously a lot more of a science to it than I realized.
Yeah, you know, and it's not something that, you know, I expect anybody to understand, and I definitely don't mind talking and explaining about it. I love it. You know, I think it's a part of growing this game that we all love is you know, talking about these things and
Yeah.
and, coming to an agreement here. But
Well, the fact of the matter is that um, poker players think they know poker. I always say that people used to say, "Yeah, I have a good sense of humor." Well, why do you have a good sense of humor? Well, I love to laugh. Okay, that's like saying I'm a musician if I like to listen to music.
Sure.
It's kind of poker players kind of get into that trap of, well, I play a lot of poker, so I must know that what there is about poker.
Right.
Well, sitting on the other side, that's why I'm very defensive of dealers and tournament structures and the whole product presentation. Players know nothing. What they know is what they like.
Yeah.
What their preference is. So.
Yeah, and so
don't get mad at me, players, for saying that. I'm one of y'all.
It puts us, as operators, into a spot where, obviously, the entire goal is for people to come and play your events, right? So,
yeah,
it puts us in a
so
spot
reach
where
the broadest scope of your demographic that you're trying to hit, whatever that is. In this case, just poker players, but you want to try to please as many people as possible. So
while keeping things logistically
feasible,
possible, right?
Yeah, I got you.
So, and that's kind of where the biggest challenge is. But you think about it, back when the main event, the buy-in was $10,000. They started with 10,000 chips.
Yeah,
that was
is that right?
Yeah, that's
way
right.
back in the Stu Unger days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of Stu Unger, Johnny actually has a nickname in the Houston community. They call him Stewie, or Stu Unger. If you take a look, he kind of resembles. No, not for Family Guy. For Stu Unger, if you take a look, at a picture of them side by side with the glasses on, and he kind of resembles Stu Unger a bit.
Oh yeah, he does. He does. It's not because he likes Cool Whip.
When I first heard it, I assumed that's what it was. Just being that he's so young.
Yeah, he's Dewey.
Tyler P. 5-5, no limit. The table is ready. 5, Tyler P.
Maybe a little bit of frustration creeping in for Alon.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sit here for hours on end. We're 100 hands in. 100 hands in now at this final table. It's exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. They've been playing since noon today. It's almost 11 o'clock. Almost 11 hours of, it's they call them grinders for a reason. Playing poker is a grind.
Yeah, at noon I was taking a nap, so I get it. They're a lot less well-rested than I am.
Suited wheel cards in the muck.
Is this hard for a dealer, dealing this many hands this fast?
Not necessarily. At some point, as long as, especially people like Jared and Danny, are dealers at this final table tonight.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for so many years. It's muscle memory. It's just rinse and repeat.
They don't have any bomb pots. They don't have any outside silliness. They have two players that are very professional in their demeanor and the way that they're executing. So it's probably a lot easier.
Yeah.
And in this case, where you don't have to call out a lot of action,
right.
It's not a full table. It's easier on Kristen as our producer, and
I got wrecked by Sonny much quicker.
And the dealer, I would think. Now, of course, they're just getting it down. They're not getting tips. So,
multiple beers, with button rallying, having a great time, and shipped the tournament.
Which tournament was that?
It was a 300 at Westheimer.
Oh. Are you Houston?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit of chatter back and forth between the two of them. Really the first time they kind of engaged with each other so far.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how many
It's like our blinds have increased now. We're playing 15,000, 25,000, 25,000 big blind ante. Both players flop a pair here. Johnny flops best with the jack. Alon is going to lead out for 60,000 with bottom pair here. Call from Johnny. Wow. Looks like we see a king on the river. Kings and jacks going to be best.
It kind of faded.
Oh, wow.
Giuseppe, are you asking from a player perspective, like what the standard is for tipping the dealers when you win a tournament?
Thank you. Kim. Thank you. Vic. Thank you. ATV. Thank you. Tanya. Kirk B. Kirk B for the 125. Interest, thumbs up. Interest, thumbs up.
Alon's going to outflop Johnny here in the flop king 4-4.
John K. Interest.
We're going to see a C bet from Johnny.
Thank you. No.
And then bet at 25,000.
Patrick C. Patrick C. Mateo is an interest. Thumbs
Just a
up.
call here. I like it. 10 of spades on the turn does bring in a Broadway draw for Johnny. Checks around. We are going to see a river. The deuce of clubs changes nothing. And now we see three-fifths pot bet here. From Alon. Trying to get a call. Looking for a call here, certainly. Alon has to know King 5 is the best hand, given the way that this hand is played out. Giuseppe, I always try to tell people when they ask that, tipping is not something that's required. It is greatly appreciated, any amount that anybody decides to tip. And I always say, 1 to 5% is whatever you're comfortable with in that range is acceptable. I think most people would probably agree with that statement. Looks like 12 notes said 3%. That would fall in line with my more specific answer. But at the end of the day, we greatly appreciate anything that anybody leaves for us. My pleasure. My pleasure. Ace 9-6. Johnny flops best. Check, check. 2-pair now for Johnny. Nothing for Alon. Going for value and going to get nothing here. Unfortunate for Johnny when he makes the hands. Alon doesn't have anything to pay him off with. But this is the game.
Attention players, we're going to be brand new 125 kilo must move table. If you hear your name, please take away table 16 for Jolo, Kim, Vic, John D, ATV, Tanya, Shino, Kirk B, and Patrick. Please make your way to table 16 for that brand new 125 kilo must move table.
Quick bet and take it here for Johnny. Chipping back up after that that big hand. He lost to Alon.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little sine wave.
Yeah. That's a lot of what heads-up play is. You know, I do have a couple of friends that, you know, I don't know if they consider it themselves, but I would consider them most certainly heads-up pros. You know, back when online poker was booming, you know, 10 years ago or so.
Oh,
hello, ladies.
Johnny got 2 mamas again. A little bit of a unfortunate timing of a raise. The fortunate thing is when Johnny comes over the top here, it's going to be easy to fold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered here too much if that bet was all in or if it was a min raise. Alon has asked for a count here.
Yeah, a little confusing unless we're getting a bad read here on the cards, which hasn't happened all night.
Maybe just trying to
look tight.
Just,
yeah,
maybe just
like
trying to make it
fold.
look like it's a little bit more difficult of a decision it is.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a famous, I think it was an ad for a poker coaching site, but it's you know, ingrained in me. And, you know, the great Daniel Negreanu, everything you do at the poker table conveys information, whether you realize it or not.
Yep.
And that is very, very true.
Yeah.
And not everybody can pick up on it, and not everybody's going to. But, you know, everything that you do, from your mannerisms, the way you look at your cards, the way you stack your chips.
And certainly his reputation is the best reader in poker.
Correct.
Adds a lot of weight to that. But, yeah, I know exactly what the ad you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Being a member. I've found it to be very informative.
Yeah, see, the only lessons I take are in the 1-2 streets.
The 1-2 streets?
It's hard for me to play Hold'em anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
I've noticed that dealers kind of seem to have a hard time with it sometimes. They see so many hands. There's almost like too much information in their head.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, I would just play mix almost exclusively, you know, and which basically is what I do. You know, I'll play a Hold'em tournament every now and then for fun, but
yeah, sure love the mixed game. It's really enjoyable.
Absolutely.
It's hard sometimes when you grind out a lot of small stakes Hold'em and then go play mixed.
Yeah,
like with the tournaments that we had, and then also playing the mixed games that we have in house, cash games. It's hard to go back to Hold'em.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, that's why, like, you know, I've never been a proponent of, you know, from an operator standpoint or from a player standpoint. I've never been a fan of round of each, you know, and it seems to be a very popular thing in Texas. And, you know, so obviously in most rooms it's allowed, and, you know,
I actually talked
popular.
to Fireman Scott about that for a while, about because his bracelet is in the round of each,
right.
Hold'em and PLO, and he talked about his philosophy approaching that final table. And yeah, I don't think it's for me either.
Yeah,
I want to play one or the other. I love PLO. I love Big O. Not that great at it, but certainly doing PLO makes you a much better palm pot player. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the round of each either. When it first was introduced, I never played it, and still don't play it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's for many years now one of the most regarded, you know, prestigious tournaments where, you know, the cream of the crop is going to rise is in the Players Poker Championship.
Yeah.
You know, when you play, it's massive buy-in, best players in the world playing every game that basically exists, you know,
Right.
and it's
right.
It does take a lot to switch that gear quickly and play that other game.
Yep.
12 notes. Is TCH planning to capture more of the tournament market share going forward? Austin in parentheses. Well, I can tell you what, my friend. I have some plans for this place to make this a world destination. World destination. I don't just want to capture the Austin market. Obviously, it's very important, but I don't know why we need to stop there. That's small thinking, and I think, why can't we have like the WSOP in Vegas in the summer? Why can't we have a spring in Texas? Why can't we have?
Yeah.
Why can't we be a huge destination? And
even winter in Texas is so much better than
Yeah.
most of the world.
Exactly.
As far as weather goes.
For sure. So, yes, very much so. I want to capture, I want to grow. I'm very passionate about growing this industry, and that is the plan. As Johnny's going to flop 2 pair here, Lon continuing with a bet here. Unfortunately, going to get some bad news. Johnny's going to try to take Lon to Value Town here.
Yeah. Possibly a little worried about the hard draw, but I think the hard draw calls there. So
Well, I mean,
not
it's
make
hard
a
to
value
even make
bet?
a pair in this game,
It
you
is.
know?
It
So
is.
when you make 2 of them,
Yep, you're feeling pretty good. Well, I always say, and those that listen to our cash live streams have heard me say, that the hand that you lose the most money with and win the most money with is 2 pair.
Yep.
It's just navigating that 2 pair. Almost having a little bit of a bomb pot kind of mentality, knowing what the nut 2 pair is and not having it and being a little wary of it. People general poker, low stakes poker players, recreational players overplay their 2 pair. And that can get you into trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're pulling money out of your pocket real fast. Well, folks, we are now rapidly approaching 3 hours and 30 minutes that we've been playing. We've been playing heads up since hand 70 and a couple. So we're racking through the hands. These 2 are playing smart, but also that means without a lot of heavy clashes between whole cards, without a lot of action that way. It's kind of a grinder's game at this point. Obviously, that's kind of stating the obvious. Not much for either player on this, but that we're going to say that every hand. Unless you make 2 pair. Appreciate you. This is Uncle T here with Josh, our tournament director, who's given us a lot of insight into the tournament world. I feel very much like when I was sitting here with Greg Vale talking about 08, PLO, and Big O, learning a lot about what goes into it.
Yeah.
TCH Social Austin, our culminating all-star game, for lack of a better term, 50K.
Man, that's a great name for a
Trailblazer.
tournament.
You want to call
All-Star
it that?
game?
You want to call it the Trailblazer All-Star in next year?
You know what? I wish I could go back in time and do that. That's perfect.
Well, do it next year.
Yeah.
And just tell everybody you know that I thought of it.
You heard it here, folks.
I'll copyright that. You'll copyright the other thing. I don't even remember what you said that I said you should copyright. Well, I tell you what, we've seen a lot of really useless hands. It's kind of a testimony of how no limit hold'em is. That the majority of hands you fold here, we're not folding much because we've got big blind, small blind every hand. But here we'll probably have another one, 8 deuce. Johnny making an insta fold, which we don't see too much against 9-5. Phony. Hey. Good to see you in the chat. Yes, these 2 are still playing. They are.
Battle to the death.
Yes.
11 hours of play now.
What is your
Yeah.
outfit?
Yeah, it's
So
off
good
to
draw.
both these players for just being able to sustain this.
Oh, we're not seeing flops, not even.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can hardly stay seated at the table when I play.
Well, now,
Feedback from the audience about
I meant to ask you this earlier.
What
Is
are we
there a break built into them, or can they just request a break?
Oh, there are breaks built in.
Anyone's
I don't ever, very, very rarely will I ever make anybody play more than 2 hours without taking a break. All in and a quick fold. So yeah, for this works perfectly. 30-minute levels here, so every 4 levels they get a 10-minute break.
Yeah. Yes, Johnny made it to the final table again. Stewie made the final table.
That he did. King 9.
Alon just kind of getting heavy-handed here in the last couple of hands. Giving him a little bit of a taste of his own medicine to some degree, although neither one of them have been particularly aggro. I used to joke when I'd do something like that a couple of hands in a row. I'd always do the South Park thing. You must respect my authority.
Solid. The buy-in for this tournament was $0. This was a leaderboard free roll tournament that people, these players, these 50 players, and thousands of players actually over across the state for the past few months have been earning points to try and qualify. We only took 50 people into this free roll, and Texas Card House put up $50,000 in the prize pool and said, "Here you go. Thank you for playing with us. Thank you for supporting us and making Texas Card House the greatest poker room in Texas." Yeah, it's really because of y'all that we're as successful as we are, and we're able to continue to do these things.
Well, I was hoping that river card was going to be juicy with the open-ender. Actually, not an open-ender. I was thinking the queen was an open-ender. Jack was a gut shot, actually. Queen is still good. Pretty good pot taken down by Alon. Still running about 60% of Johnny's stack right now. And Phony, you ain't wrong. That was commentator talk for they're playing super tight. Yes. Yeah, that's why I saw that we've been talking about this as the All-Star game. Some of these players, for instance, Baby Spider came from RGB, and have been traveling around. So they put some. I know that Lottie, our commentator, did some travel as well. Go play Dallas, go play Houston. That's kind of what you had to do to get to this point.
Doug Polk, who's that? I've never heard of him.
I don't recognize that name. The Hawks? Hawks? Don't know.
This is the Texas Card House, the original poker room. The great state of Texas. Coming up on our 10-year anniversary. Can you believe that?
Is that right?
10 years this year.
Well,
playing in a tournament. We're going to have a $240 buy-in, $50K guarantee tournament. We're going to do that at all of the locations to help celebrate our 10 years in this great state.
I go back to the first building.
Yeah.
So didn't go a lot, but because I had a game in San Antonio an underground game that I was playing fairly frequently, and I was traveling to Lackland Air Force Base frequently. And then kind of when it moved to the building right across the street, somebody said, "Why aren't you playing here?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Why aren't I playing there?" And I have been ever since. So.
Sam asks, how much does first and second place get? Both players at this table have guaranteed themselves $10,000. And they're playing for $15,000 up top for first. Here's a look at all the payouts for you.
This is what we paid out so far to the 9 players. It did pay to everybody.
12
12?
Yeah, 12 and up
Okay,
were in the money.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought that everybody got something, but you're saying that.
Yeah, I paid out 25% of the field based on the 50-player
Gotcha.
field.
Okay. And they had a nice little party last night.
Yeah,
for
we
these
did. We had
50.
some food. Man, let me tell you, that food they bring it out of the kitchen was just. I couldn't get enough.
Did it look something like that?
It really
Maybe
did.
like that, or like that. Chef is just killing it.
Yeah,
I brag about
we did.
Chef
Those
all
fish
the time.
sandwiches were hot last night. They went.
Yes, the fish. I had that for the first time about a week ago. Yeah, I can't brag enough about the food here. I come up here to eat and work sometimes.
Yeah.
My air conditioner has been out for the last week, so I've been up here a couple of times during the day.
Yeah.
Just sitting up here working and eating tater tots with chorizo cheese sauce.
Oh,
I know.
that
buddy.
cheese sauce is out of this world.
That chorizo shrimp pasta is to die for. Okay, I'll be back after our order.
Flush on the
Ooh,
river
the
for
flush,
a lawn.
Jack 6.
Not going to get call here,
No, unfortunately, we just haven't had these clashy hands. Clashy, is that even a word?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
that's
Poker
okay.
players make up words all the dang time. So we are still where we kind of were at the beginning. Having played a solid 50, 55 hands heads up.
And honestly, the more I was thinking about this earlier, if there's a tournament that you're not going to chop in, this is probably a really good one because you're it's two great players who I know Johnny doesn't have a whole lot of experience playing heads up. He doesn't really he had 18 months total poker experience in general.
I started to say at his poker depth, although he's a great player, how could he?
Yeah.
So unless you're playing a lot of really small tournaments like we did at the old building.
Sure. And this one, it cost you $0 to get in. I mean, you got nothing to lose.
Yep.
Great practice.
Yep.
Great experience here. Johnny does flop a gutter ball. Backdoor flush draw for a lawn.
Still nothing. Probably another. Well, this is where Alon has not been completing her story. Obviously, the 10-8 is good here because it beats the 6-7. But I think if you make another bet and rep yourself a little stronger, probably could have got away from this jack.
Logan asks if we have anything in Dallas. Sorry, you're new. That's okay. Nothing to be sorry for. Actually, we have two locations in Dallas. Texas Card House, Dallas, and we also have TCH Social, Las Colinas. Two great action-packed rooms. They're always filled.
I love them both. I've been to both, and I went to Dallas before Las Colinas. As Johnny makes a sizable bet. Again, this is kind of not completing the story that you're telling on the flop by checking the queen. Now Alon has to give it up. Yeah, I love both those locations. The Las Colinas room is just really cool.
Yeah, and it was the first of the concept that we have here in Austin of the TCH Socials. It was
yes.
It really set the standard at the time for a poker.
It was really almost a prototype of what this became.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Victor was telling me. They had an idea of what they wanted to change that would make the Dallas location, be an upgrade from that, and obviously what was here, the original TCH in Austin, and of course that was just blown up in this place and made bigger with a lot of the learning. So
for sure.
That's a pretty good flop for both, but the 10-8's got an advantage with having a gut shot on it. Let's see if we get there. We do not. So this is 9 versus 10 at this point. Looks like Elon's going to bet the 9. And such a straighty board, this might give Johnny a little bit of a pause.
Yeah, he does make the dummy end of the straight here.
Yeah,
but
he's consistently made really good calls in this position, this situation.
I think Johnny just wants to get to showdown as fast and cheap as possible. Here.
Again, this is better because the Alon's now telling the story for 100,000. That's going to be hard for him to call. He does not want to give her. And
Wow.
he does make the call. Wow. Dude, you got alligator blood.
Wait,
Wait a minute.
Johnny mucked his cards.
I thought he threw 25 out there.
He did. He
did-
called.
He
and then
misread his cards, or
Yeah.
do we have a card misread on the? We haven't had that all night, so I think he might have thought that she did have the straight.
No. Blockers and a pair.
Either that, or maybe there was a misread.
Yeah, maybe there was.
I think when I check back out.
Yeah, I just doing a little technical check in the
Yeah.
last couple seconds. Yeah, I don't know. I think he might have misread his card. The queen is a 6.
Oh, was the board cards?
Oh.
Were the board cards wrong? Maybe is that
Oh.
what it was?
Yeah, we didn't get the overview as long as we wanted. Thank you, Logan. If that's the case, you're getting the read of the night.
Okay.
10
Well,
versus-
either way, regardless
versus
of what
open in here.
happened,
Yes.
Alon did win that pot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that would
we're
have
right back to
changed
even
it.
now.
River was a deuce. Yeah, I got that. No, I would say he did. I think he mistakenly thought that Alon did and mucked his
Right.
cards. Not really sure. Alon had 2 pair. Okay. Okay, 100%. All right. Logan, I'm going to believe you. I believe you.
2 pair here for Johnny. Air for Alon. Logan, you're absolutely right. Let me find out when their next free roll is in Dallas, and I'll get you a buy-in to the free roll, buddy.
Yeah, Logan is so right, and Austin is so wrong. Okay, moving on. Whew. You know, sometimes you chatters make it really hard for us commentators. Really, really difficult.
Drew says Trailblazer Tournament Series was the nuts. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. A lot of effort went into this series at each of our 6 locations. From Dallas all the way down to the Valley.
Down
Trailblazer Series.
Valley, so low. You don't even know that song, do you?
I know a lot. I don't
You know a lot?
I know a lot of songs. I might know.
No, that's from like old LPs that my dad played.
Oh.
That's like a really old song.
Well, Drew, you can best believe that the Trailblazer Tournament Series is going to be back again with Season 2, and it's going to be bigger and better. And it's only going to get bigger and better as the years progress. We actually have a meeting, a company-wide meeting. All of the heads of each of our locations are going to get together next month and start laying the groundwork for Season 2 of the Trailblazer. Stay tuned. It is coming back.
Alon betting the club draw here and having a jack. He's not going to get 7 deuce.
Johnny does have an inside straight draw here. Hit a 3 to make the wheel.
Oh, yes, the wheel. Sorry, I was like, what, a 3 and a 6? Good eye. No, I didn't actually confirm it, Logan. So
I can pull it up here and see.
yeah, I am curious. Not that I'm doubting Logan. Leave Logan.
A raise from Johnny here. Really putting the pressure on.
And the club's hit
Deuce.
for Alon.
Wow. Oh, the check from Alon here. Setting the trap. Oh, man.
Yeah,
I have
I
a
think
feeling
it's gonna
Johnny's going to
work.
fire out big here.
I think it's going to work.
All in.
Oh, no,
no.
Johnny.
Oh, yes. Wow. Finally, the hand that Alon's been waiting for to be able
Wow.
to trap. There's a lot of satisfaction in that
Absolutely.
that non-smiling face right now, I can tell you.
Wow.
So that turns it back the other way. Still, Johnny's not hamstrung. He's brought this back up so many times from being a couple of 100K down. And again, you double up, you're at 700, and your opponent's down around 500, a little less.
What a hand. Hand of the night so far.
Yeah, it really was
the
heads up matchup for sure. That was the hand of the night.
One more.
Well, just one. I say one's got alligator blood, the other one shows it too. And then immediately shoves to keep the pressure on. And this hand by Johnny is pretty close. Heads up, folks. I can't tell you that that's an insta-fold. He's going to make the fold, but even though we can see the hands, that's may seem like an auto. I think maybe probably erring on the side of making sure that he wasn't just steamy. Made a really good fold. I think if that was King 9 or if that Jack 9 suited, he absolutely calls and probably jams. Well, didn't have to jam. Jam was already there. Now, Johnny gets the Queen Jack. This is a very good heads-up hand, obviously.
All in.
Wish that we'd gone for a little bit of value. Getting a little all-in happy on both sides of the fence. Maybe looking for this to wrap up. The blinds are now 15, 30, 30. So 75,000 in each hand. We're starting to get into that zone where. So looking it over, the deuce was at the end.
Yeah, somehow the 7 of hearts got read. It might have been maybe one of the burn cards. They got read as the river card there. So yeah, it was correct. Alon did.
Alon had the
pot
9-6.
Yeah.
And the 8 did not make the straight, or the
correct.
Because the 7th was incorrect. Okay.
All right, last.
Logan.
Nice eye.
Nice, yeah, nice read. It was happening so fast to us, and we're looking in the corner at what the readout is as opposed to what the picture was. I'm assuming you have a big 60-inch television, and I'm gonna blame that. That's why you can see it so much better. No, we actually just looked online, and we're giving you the credit for the win, and Alon. Ace-9 for Johnny.
I imagine the next words out of his mouth are going to be obviously call. I wasn't going to say all in, that's for sure. Good flop for Jack 7 here.
Yeah, very good. And probably going to get a call for a 30,000 bet just because the Ace-9 is over the 7 or the 3. Although obviously you don't put and jams it. Oh, well, okay, this may be it, folks. It's going to be really hard to get rid of a 7 here. Although, heads up, your opponents can so many times have that.
Alon's the one all in. Alon's all in.
Yeah,
with
Alon's
the 7.
actually the one
Johnny's just got ace high.
Well, he's only got 310 behind.
Yeah.
So he would have been at risk.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
to find a different spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're starting to stretch out a little bit. Starting to see Alon become the more aggressive of the two.
Shift manager Nick Ryan in the shot.
I think they were primarily what Nick was doing there was asking him, so what do you use on your head? I think that's possible.
I think it is.
I mean, your head looks so much smoother than mine. Is that Nivea? Sorry, folks. It's been a long time for us, too. We're coming up on our 4 hours.
Yeah, I remember people talking to me earlier. They're like, "Oh man, how long do you think this tournament's really going to take? You know, you think they'll be at a final table about 4 o'clock? Maybe it'll be over about 7."
Yesterday we were doing that. Yeah.
I was like, there is no way this tournament is going to be over by 7 o'clock.
I think our discussion was primarily about when did we think the final table
Yeah,
would
right.
start. After that, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, your structure was thinking you. Me, I know that this trophy is going to make people want to
For
play it
sure.
out.
Oh, here we go. Tens versus deuces. All right.
Deuces
Johnny's going to get the
hold.
full double, and we're right back to dead even, guys.
Wow.
Right back to dead even here.
Yep, this has definitely gone into, you ever watched Olympic badminton?
Badminton?
Yes.
Can't say I have.
It's hilarious. Ping pong too, because they're amazing how they can hit things
Yeah.
that I'm like, how did you even get your paddle in it? But the badminton, because they just slam it and it zings out about 8 feet and then just completely goes
Just dies.
noodle.
Yeah.
And so they play these long ass points
Okay.
back and back and back. And just when you think somebody's like, oh, they're gonna win it, no. This is the badminton of head-to-head matchups. The only
All
thing
in
that
with the
has
fours.
sustained me is all in for 500, and I think Johnny's going to have to call here. This is going to be a pretty classic head. Oh,
Nope.
wow. Yes. Phony, these players are playing really smart.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're playing smarter than me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I really like watching the discipline, but I just don't know if I could do it. I did play some really long. When you're in it, it's different.
Sure.
I did play some really long heads-up match at the old place.
Yeah, it's just so expected anymore to chop tournaments up, you know.
It is.
It's great for everybody, you
Yeah.
know. But there's just something about winning it outright, being the very last person standing, no give up, no quit, no deals.
I do think that Alon has become a lot more aggressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we just went from dead even to them being a 300K up, just pretty much from aggression. And 136.
Wow.
Yeah, we're officially coming up on half of this final table being head-to-head.
Just wanted to remind everybody in the chat, the starting stack today was 30,000 chips. All in with the beautiful suited Broadway cards. Alon does have a king here. Terrible shape. 3-1 dog, Alon is.
Yeah.
Makes the right laydown.
Yeah, they've been really consistent about that.
All right, let's set a line here. What do you think the penultimate hand of this is going to be? What hand does this finish on?
Oh, you mean the number of
Yeah.
hands?
We're at 137 once we start this hand.
God, I don't have a concept. Why don't you give one and I'll say over under.
All right. I'll set it at 151.5.
Over.
Yeah?
I'll take the over.
All right.
Yeah, 14 hands. The way these two have been playing.
Blind
Now, of course,
stitches
it only
go up.
takes
We're
one.
playing 15, 30, 30 now.
Uh-huh.
But it does only take one.
Yes.
All right. What is it? 152.5? Is that what I said?
Yeah. So I've got 153 and you've got everything under.
Logan says 143.
Wow. That's some
6 hands.
wishful thinking there, Logan. Of course, it only takes one hand. But the other part of
Could
that
be this hand.
Yeah, I mean, if they get to the break here in 14 minutes and maybe get a little replenishment,
Yeah.
I think it'd definitely go longer than that. Of course, we're running about a hand every 2.5 minutes,
Sure.
2 minutes, so maybe even a little bit less now. It's possible. It's possible.
Giuseppe says 140.
Giuseppe must be tired and ready for bed.
Gutter ball for Johnny. Clean high for Alon. Quick bet and take it.
Any other guesses, folks? Any pessimists out there like me that thinks it's going to be another 20 hands probably? And I appreciate all of you sticking around. Still have quite a few people in the chat. Love to hear
Absolutely.
your comments. This is Uncle T. I'm here with Josh, our tournament director, on a beautiful, I just went outside for a second, gorgeous Sunday night in Austin, Texas. Josh, that's right. Kevin is correcting. It was not 152 and a half.
151 and a half.
1 and a half.
Well, Sunshine, thank you for the correction, sir.
Kevin.
It's good to see you in here.
Kevin being
Long time no see. Hope all is well in the town of H.
That's our commentator Floor that came in and made a ruling. Sorry, sir. That's going to be a raise. Or actually, it's a fold from 152 and a half to 151 and a half.
Sure.
Thank you, Kevin. I need all the help I can get.
Bet 60,000.
Add it that song? So it's just having a line it. Obviously, I've had a lot of
Yeah, there you go. Be the Dallas tourney director. So we have guesses of 140, 143, 151.5, and Uncle T's got the over. And we are at hand 139.
All in.
Oh, well, we got an all in. And a fold. We're averaging about 3 out of 4 hands being all ins. And number 140, Giuseppe. Sorry, I'm such a redneck. This is your hand. You win the big prize. I personally, if this is the hand, and I don't know, if this is the hand, I'm going to make sure that you have a sweatshirt for you waiting out front. And this is all in. Next hand. Oh, okay. Well, it wasn't 140. All right, next one up is Logan at 143. Ace-7 for Johnny.
All in.
And he does shove it, which has happened quite a bit lately. Oh, it gets snapped with the ace-6 clubs. Oh, wow. Wow, this is just getting pipped here. If it's a clean run out, we'll see how it goes. Looks like ace-6 now, deuces and sixes, and that's going to
Wow, and that is going to do it.
be it. Wow. You were not far off, Giuseppe. You were not far off.
I did. You played really great.
And I was the big pessimist, obviously.
Wow. 142
Oh, I did too.
was the answer. You took the under on my line.
I did.
That was 151 and a half.
So you got
I don't think
cheesecake
I've ever
coming.
run that high.
My man.
I had so many like big pairs, and I tried to trap.
Yeah, I set the line at 151 and a half, and we finished at
I took
142.
the over.
So the tens was the fifth time
Yeah.
I went in with the calling hand.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Johnny did not want to chop because he wanted the tournament
Yeah.
trophy. Got it. That big, beautiful trophy. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. This is Uncle T. Josh?
Josh Atkins, Tournament Director here at TCH Social. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. More importantly, thank you guys so much for supporting us, Texas Card House, and the Trailblazer Poker Tour Series. Stay tuned. We will be announcing Season 2 coming soon to Texas near
Trailblazer
you.
Season 2.
That's it.
With the All-Star game at the end.
With the All-Star game at the end.
All right.
Trademarks. You heard it here, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.